Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Focus on Liberia. We have our Friday night debate team and also Tough Talking Thursday. I want to say to all of you, happy Thanksgiving from yesterday. We have so much to be thankful for. I'm very thankful for my FOL family, and I'm thankful for all of you watching us tonight. I want to say tonight our topic is the passing of Prince Y. Johnson, the former warlord, the senator, the pastor, the kingmaker, the proverbial godfather, the university proprietor, and the list goes on. We're going to be looking at a few things about his passing. What does that mean to you? Who was Prince Johnson to you? You know, Prince Johnson meant different things to different people. So I want to get your perspective. What was your initial reaction to the news of his passing? And what does this mean, or what will be the impact on, starting with his church, starting with his university, the MDR and the UP Alliance, the vacant Senate seat? Who do you think will be the next kingmaker of Nimba or the Godfather? What about what impact on war crimes court, the 2029 elections, and so on and so forth? On behalf of Focus on Liberia, we want to say without our condolences to the family. The show is intended just to continue what is being talked about, the politics. And one writer said, the death of any man diminishes me. So the intent of the show is not to argue about his passing, but he's a big man, he's a politician. And we want to talk about it and talk about what everybody else is talking about. Let me welcome the chairman and also the lawyer's daughter, Glendy Jane Jr. Welcome, Glendy.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Hello, Dennis. It's good to be here.
Good to see you. Let me welcome the unabashed and unapologetic sedition, Mr. Jerome Gilman. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Happy holiday to you.
Thank you. And our money man, Mr. Gabriel Tabito M. Carter. Welcome, Gabriel.
Dennis, good to be here. Thank you.
Good. Father Elijah Bobby Washington, want to welcome you, Father.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a privilege to be glad to share this platform with our BC Law.
Let me also welcome the professor. He's the teacher, the journalist, if I'm making right, man. Welcome, Dr. Duke.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm happy to be here and learn a few things from my brilliant colleagues on the panel.
Let me also welcome Dr. George Y. William, a social and political commentator, and also an educator. Welcome, Dr. William.
Dennis, thank you so much
for the invite.
Thank you. Last and definitely not the least is the FOL resident economist, now resident in Monrovia. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Dennis. Great to be here to discuss
We want to
the
welcome all our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia, and let's get started. Well, Senator Prince Johnson has passed away, and we want to say again our thoughts and prayer to the family. Let's go around the room. The death news came as a shock to many of us who never heard that the senator was not feeling well. Wherever you are, let me start with our man from Morovia, Tom. When you first got the news that the senator passed, what was your reaction, and how is it being talked about in Morovia?
Thank you, Dennis. So this is something that started to actually spread in the early hours of yesterday. So like I woke up and then saw it on some social media feeds, in some chat rooms, but it wasn't very clear because the point was the news comes out and you are still waiting for a confirmation. And you know the kind of person that Senator Johnson was. So it was difficult to believe that even death could just take him away. So on to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, on to 10 o'clock, we're still waiting for confirmation until it started to trickle in that it was actually true. Certain time of the morning, we heard the follow-up that he was in coma and he had not actually died until like midday when it was actually confirmed. So it was really difficult to be able to absorb when it came in initially until midday when it was confirmed by many media houses, people close to the family actually coming up to say that the senator had passed. So like you said, I mean, the reaction has been mixed based on who you talk to, based on all the social media and news feeds that I have read in terms of how people are reacting to it. But like you said from the beginning, I was sympathetic to the family, to the people of Nimba, to the Senate, and Liberia as a whole.
Thank you. Glendy.
So I think we say hello to everybody. For me, it was my first description was mixed emotions. For a man, Prince Johnson, with his history, the war and everything else, and also comparing that with what he means. So the people of Nimba County was just mixed. It was thinking about those who wanted justice, didn't get an opportunity to see him do that. And then also thinking about those who equated him to being their hero, suddenly lost him. So for me, it was mixed emotion, but I definitely went back to the war and the struggles and the difficulties that even myself had. That was the thing that immediately swung my mind with the passing of Prince Johnson.
Thank you. Father Washington.
I was disappointed. I was just disappointed. I've been waiting for an opportunity where Prince Johnson will be tried and he will be praised and maybe locked up. I was just disappointed when he died. I just hoping that I wish he could be tried even while he's dead. Because I know criminals that Prince Johnson, would just, after murdering people, raping people, they had an opportunity to beat his teeth on the Liberian people and just die like that. So I was just disappointed when he died. I just wish that he would be tried and sent to jail. So I was disappointed that he died when he died.
Thank you. Mr. Gaiman.
Well, it was 5:40 a.m. I got this text from within the U.S. Embassy, and it says, Prince Wyatt Johnson died overnight. No justice to come here. And then the next, and I said, you kidding me? Why? And the person said, yep, was confirmed early this morning. The two more vile people in the Republic of Liberia have no consequences. And the second person is Krumah. Once I got that message, I knew it was factual. I didn't have to call anybody. at 5:40 in the morning. I got a message from reliable sources. But the emotions are mixed. People in higher power in other places around the world was hoping to see this thing through. And it has not happened. So most people are disappointed, including myself. But I have known all along that there will be no actual war economic crime court. I told this to you when I came from Liberia. I said this to Mr. Ja, and I gave him all the reasons. And you will see a watered down of what would be considered a war crime court. Who else is there?
Thank you.
Are you going after Oyeka Koluba or Bodneki? It's useless.
Dr. Dugley.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. For Washington, why do you say you're disappointed a man died? God justice. God has bigger justice than human being. Don't you think so? But anyway, I know Prince Johnson from interim government.
That he was not tried before he died.
Huh?
I'm disappointed that he was not tried before he died.
Yeah, no, I'm just it's okay.
And Dr. Dugley, that's why I skipped you, because I wanted you to process that. I saw it in your face. I saw the questions. That's why I skipped. I went to Jerome.
Yeah, so disappointed. Anyway, you can't be disappointed that somebody died. I mean, that's
that he was tried.
We can't be happy either that somebody died. It's part of the life process.
Tried, doctor. That's what I said.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but anyway, yeah, I got to know Prince back in 1992 when he was working with the interim government. He was like our part of, the buffer zone to stop Taylor. So we had to work with him, but also we knew what was going on the base. But we had signed a peace accord that guaranteed him the status of faction leader at the time. Bowen was one. So he had ECOMOG surrounding him. He had tanks behind him. Prince Johnson could grab people on the street, in Broad Street, in the daylight, and carry them on his base. Nothing would happen. And that has happened. So it was very bad for us, really. I mean, to be in the middle of that, and then to see that, we're working with this man. And then things broke down, when we decided to print, the new money. Because Prince Johnson had a container full of money that he took from the port, where he was spending, like he would give $5,000, $10,000 to ECOMOG soldiers. So everybody was behind Prince Johnson. So we changed the money overnight, and he broke away from IGNU, joined Taylor, and that was October 1st, when they attacked Morovia, and he ran away, went to Nigeria. All I remember also when he went to Nigeria, he said, oh, yeah, it was Dr. Soya, Tiawan Gongolo, and Dr. Dukley who told me to kill Doe. And later on, I asked him that. I said, did I say that to you? He said, I said, we have never met before. He said, yeah, that politics, my man, that politics, get over it. Anyway, his death, I don't know. I heard that. I said, oh, okay, a cloud is over. A cloud has been removed over from Nimba. The political, I look at it from a political standpoint, not as a human person, not as a Prince Johnson, as a warlord or anything, but as a politician. And I say, well, a cloud has been lifted over, from Nimba. Now they can do their politics freely.
Thank you. Dr. Williams.
Dennis, thank you again. Thanks to everybody. Welcome, everybody. Glenda, everyone. The news, again, was received with mixed emotions, but more so trepidation that, like many speakers today and prior to this program, other programs have said that the nation has lost an opportunity to face not just Prince Johnson, but others like him who led their effort to dehumanize our people over the years. And though our population had unsuspectingly giving them the gavel of authority to Prince Johnson was in the Senate for what, 18 years. That said something about, the people of Nimba and their whole outlook on peace and reconciliation in the country. That being said, we cannot, it would be unfair to judge the people of Nimba based on their choice. As far as Prince Johnson and the history that is nationally known in terms of his role in the national crisis, Prince Johnson was an icon for his people. And if you look at historically his role in the military and how all of that unfolded, it would be unfair to equivocate the pursuit of justice to one man mainly. Prince Johnson wasn't alone. He had his litany of atrocities that he made. Yes, he should have faced justice for those crimes that he committed. But I'm one of those who have maintained the stance that I think we're wasting national time by pursuing a course that ultimately is going to get us nowhere if we're not seeking, after almost 30 years, seeking national reconciliation. We should be pursuing more reconciliation than wartime justice, if not economic justice. There's a lot going on currently that we can address. There's a lot of reconciliation that needs to take place. And going back 30 years and leaving some players unscathed, untouched, especially at the international level, and focusing on the likes of Prince Johnson, I think it's a national travesty. Yes, he should have faced justice. Yes, like Roosevelt Johnson and many others, he hasn't. They died the way they did, in their own way. In their own way. You never know. 18 years in the House, Dennis.
Right.
He's faced justice. There's too many times.
And we'll come to the war camp court issue.
Through the hallways and had to look over his shoulders. So people have faced justice in many different ways. And I think our resources need to be directed more productively in moving our country forward.
Thank you. Mr. Carter.
Hey, Dennis, thank you for having me here. Similar to a few speakers here, I do have kind of mixed emotions. In a sense that looking at the history of Prince and what he was able to do in Liberia, post the crisis, post the war with the building of the university, and his service in the Senate, but that's a small part of his if you want to call it contribution to the country. We cannot overlook what he did, the atrocities, killing of a president, some of the things that Dr. Dukle pointed out. And for me, I think we cannot just boil it down to the people of Nimba. I think we can look at this as a dark cloud that has been lifted over the country, meaning the people of Nimba get to chart their own course after this, individual have left. If you look at Prince Johnson, he had a very strong hold on what happens. Matter of fact, on the presidency, even though he wasn't a president, he had a president in terms of who gets elected president because of that stronghold in Nimba, right? And for someone with that kind of history, with atrocity and what he was able to do, to have that kind of influence on the country, I think it sends the wrong message to the future leaders, to young kids that are, looking at what is happening post-war democracy, to think that, if something like this were to happen, I will be able to get away with it. I will say this lastly, and I will yield. The bigger problem here, and I'll continue to say this, is our inability to solve problems. Meaning, I think it was Dr. William who said that. 30 years, almost 30 years, we have the economic crime court that we've been talking about. Not a single president has been able to revive that, to make sure that people get justice. We cannot heal as a nation if people do not reconcile. This is why you see that level of divide in a country that has existed, that existed before the war, and it continue to exist. We have to be able to solve the tough problem in our country, meaning we have to look at these kind of issues and take action to solve them. That's what Rwanda did. We want to aspire to countries like Rwanda. Kagame was able to bring those people from even where they were hiding in countries, European countries, to bring them to Rwanda to fix justice. We weren't able to do that. We sweep things under the rug and we go about our business. So this is a dark cloud that has been lifted over the country. And I think regardless of who else is left in that line, someone have to take the mantle to be able to solve this problem, to reconcile, bring the war crime court, and let's those who cause atrocity in our country bear the consequences of their actions. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Mr. Nambi, just hold on 1 second, Dr. Dugley.
I can go. Let you go ahead. I don't mind.
Go ahead, Dr. Okay, go ahead.
Do you equate war crime court and reconciliation, Gabriel?
So here's my take. If we were to bring the war crime court into action, meaning I think since that has been enacted, it's been swept under the rug, on the Ellen time, right?
And we'll come to the war crime court topic. That's a separate topic I want us to come to.
Let me just answer the question.
Yeah, so just hold it there. I want to get on Victor. We'll come to war crime court as a topic.
All right.
I'll answer your question later. Thank you.
Thank you. So I didn't get a chance to be introduced, so I'll use this time to say happy Thanksgiving to all. Senator Johnson. I was waking around 8 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day. My wife, she had been up earlier, and so the news came in quite early, and she told me. I was shocked because we didn't get any news of him being sick, and so yes, I was shocked. And as I wrote on my page, Prince Johnson was a lot of things to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
My wife is from Nimba, and so I spent the time with the Nimba people, the Nimbayans. He is viewed with almost reverence in the Nimba community. He is.
And let me also say that it's not monolithic. It's not everybody, right?
No, that's what I said. Almost.
Okay.
That's what I said. Almost. Yes. He was almost revered. But yes, he has also his detractors in the Nimba community. But as Gabriel said earlier, he had a larger than life influence on politics in Liberia. We can't deny that. In our current life, he practically helped to make 3 presidents in our lifetime. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, and that's undebatable. George Weah. And George Weah would tell you his regret for their divorce during his second run, and he made his current president. He had that kind of.
Victor, make that 4. Emma Sawyer was made by Prince Johnson.
There you go.
Before they had an opportunity to land.
Yes. So he was pretty active, and he was very dominant on the political scene. And because he came from a county that is also very politically dominant in terms of votes. And so he used that. But again, to many, I don't want to use the word wannabe, but he was an almost, to many people, he was an almost freedom fighter. He was an almost liberator. He just couldn't get out of the way of his excesses. I think that is what the mixed reviews are coming in. These are some of the things we're hearing. And so in that way, I think he was kind of mercurial. One day he will be this liberator who is very, very strict in enforcing the law, making sure things are done right. And then the next day, he allows his worst, to take over. So, but I think he really, really influenced politics in Liberia in a very, very peculiar way. Because we're not going to judge the Kennedys and who he helped to win. But yeah, there was some of the players who some of us felt were not ready for the executive mansion. But yet, the fact that he threw his weight behind these people, they managed to take the executive mansion. And so his absence, I am sure there will be a lot of analysis done as we go towards 2029. But his absence on the scene is going to create a lot of questions as to how we go towards 2029. I know you talked about, who's going to.
And we'll get there. So my question to you now, which and you kind of preempted what I was going to ask next, is, the story of the people who went to see the elephant. Some people, because they touched the ear, they touched, so that's how they describe. So who is Prince Johnson to you? I put in the title that he's the former warlord, the senator, the pastor, the kingmaker, the godfather, the university proprietor, the evangelist, and everything. Who is Prince Johnson to you, Victor?
Well, undoubtedly he was a warlord to me, because he prosecuted a war, he led a faction. He was also an in-law to me, because my wife is from Nimba, and I met him a couple of times. I met him last year. But again, I discussed this with him. I have questions about the methodology, the way he prosecuted his organization, and he has he had his own reasons. But before I leave the stage, I just like to address some of the disappointment being expressed by Father Washington and others. I think the Truth Commission's purpose is restorative justice, right? The kind of justice, yes, that will hold perpetrators responsible, but yet at the same time will serve as a deterrent to future occurrence. So the fact that Prince Johnson may have left the stage, I don't think it means that the process is lost entirely. I think the process will continue only because we wanted to deter, future would-be perpetrators. So I just want
Thank you. Same question. Quickly, let's be brief on this one. Who is Prince Johnson, Tom, to you? Who was Prince Johnson?
I think he's everything that you listed.
Okay.
Prince Johnson is a former warlord. He's a senator. He's a pastor. He's a kingmaker. He's a university proprietor. He's everything. So this is why you have this mixed reaction. So everyone is picking a piece of what he was.
Dr. Dukley.
Well, I'll say, since we're talking about warlords, I'll say he was probably the best of the warlords. If you remember now, Prince Johnson left the scene in 1992. The country was still okay. And 10 years of war followed that. So he left 1992 and did everything that we're talking about. So I think he was the best of the warlords.
Well, how do you define best?
Yeah, how do we describe best? Where's that adjective?
Well, best, I would say he contributed after the war. He became politician, run, for Senate, build a school. How many warlords build a school? How many of them run for Senate office? We gave the presidency to Mr. Taylor, but for fear that he would not stop the war if we don't give it to him. But then, Prince Johnson is the only one who came and became a social, political person after the war.
So best in your sense mean upright,
productive.
moral.
I'll say productive, political in a political sense of it.
There you go.
Yeah, productive in a sense of politics, in sense of contributing to something, giving a vision to his people.
So productive warlord. I mean, I don't know that oxymoron.
That's what I'm understanding. Why are we trying to even qualify?
I think we have to see the difference. No, we have to go from the time of he was a warlord and as a politician. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So if you can make that separation, then you cannot be objective. You're saying, okay, one man is a one man, he cannot change his life over, ever, never. But we have seen a change.
No, I understand the explanation.
So when did you take the floor?
I understand the explanation, but when you're saying best warlord, that's the confusion. When you now have clarified it further, it makes it. So I would like to describe Prince Johnson as a warlord who was given an opportunity by the Liberian people to excel. The Liberian people decided to forget what he had done to many and gave him an opportunity, gave him a chance. But even with the chance, he still remains a warlord to me.
Yeah, I don't know if he was really given that chance, Glennie, as
Hold on,
much
hold
as
on,
I think he
hold on.
went out and took it because
That's what I'm saying. Is almost
Somebody
like
got
the people were,
to vote for you, Victor.
yeah.
True, so he was granted the
Somebody got to
chance.
give it to you.
I
yeah,
agree.
depending on how you get a vote, I can put a gun to your head and ask you to vote for me.
No, he
No,
didn't use
but
guns. He
having
did not use
been there,
guns.
Victor,
Vote,
for him
vote
to
He
have
did not
been
use
there for
guns.
18 years, it means that there were
Let's
a
be
good number
honest.
of people that gravitated towards him. So
Agreed.
whether they were coerced or not, they gravitated towards him and they let it pass. They let whatever he's done in the past to slip by, and they gave him an opportunity to do what he did. But to some, he will still remain. To me, he was still a warlord, regardless of what he did.
And Father Washington,
Prince Johnson was a criminal, a war criminal, who used his criminal empire to navigate our political spheres, using fear to be able to have people to vote for him. There were people who he controlled, and based on the control, they were able to support him. And he was able, over these years, because he controlled the people of Nimba. There were times people always fear that if Prince Johnson did not win, or if he didn't get what he wanted, he might have gone back to the bush and start a war.
Yeah.
So that could be reasons why people would keep voting for him, especially people from Nimba. And he thought that he could always go back to Nimba and use Nimba as a place to defend himself. So they say, if you want to come after Prince Johnson, then come to us. So Prince Johnson is a war criminal. He just uses this criminal empire to be able to navigate our system and get what he got. So there's nothing that he's done too much.
I really, I mean, I don't know everything, but I did hear that if you didn't vote for Prince Johnson, he was going to go in the bush and start war.
And Prince Johnson said that if he didn't,
like if he were taken to war crimes court, people would defend him, but not for election. I didn't hear that.
But at times, Prince Johnson even alarmed that elections were being stolen, and if people steal the elections, he would go back into the bush.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think you have a.
I think we underestimate the people at Nimba, and that's insulting. If we're not careful, we're venturing into insulting the intelligence of the Nimba people. Those are some of the brightest.
That is not.
Those are some of the brightest.
Those
are some of the brightest. Can I speak? Can I speak? Those are some of the brightest. Those are some of the brightest people we have in the country. Some of the most intelligent group of people that I've known throughout Liberia. And to imagine that they will be succumbed by fear for 18 years is an insult to them. Those people.
I
don't know if it was.
Hold on. Let William go.
Let him land. I got it.
That coming out of those arrangements will be a vice president, and we're suggesting that all of that happened over 18 years out of fear. I think that's not fair to the people of Nimba. They're brighter and more intelligent than that. Prince Johnson, whether we like it or not, was a politician. Way, in my mind, even better than some of the guys who were more lettered than himself, who have been on the scene for generations. Prince Johnson leveraged his influence in Nimba for his political gain. He leveraged it, unlike many other politicians hadn't. Had it not been for the Gambia conference and all that going on, probably the Sawyers and the Matthews might not have even taken government when they did. Prince Johnson came on and saw an opportunity, and he took it. He took it. He knew he had the influence of the Nimba people. He worked his way through the people of Nimba to get to where he was. Every other president, the Ellen Johnson, the George Weah, and now President Boyka, they knew he had the influence. He used his influence really, and that is why many commentators, all of the talk shows I've listened to so far, they're grappling with the question of who's going to fill their shoes. Those shoes are so big. There's absolutely no one person that can fill it for the next generation. It would take generations to fill that seat, because what that one man was able to do politically, at least as far as his many personalities that I've witnessed, as a politician and as a soldier. Yeah, he fought the war like many others, but I still see him as a soldier.
Why do you try to minimize that? Yet he fought the war. Are you minimizing the alleged atrocities?
Well, Dennis, one of my biases about the general outlook on war crimes and the crimes committed by people like Prince Johnson is that we're leaving our major players and focusing on the few. The Alhaji Kurman, the Roosevelt Johnson.
I think I ask you about this. Let's keep moving on, man. Prince Johnson is not a major player. Is that what you're trying to tell us here?
And where will Ellen fall?
You
where will
we're trying to be civil here, but I think you're being very dishonest here, my man.
I know.
Like trying to be honest here. We're trying to be civil because there's a death in the family, and we're trying to be civil. But come on.
Yeah, talk about major players. The Prince Johnson
hold on. I want Dr. Williams to end his thought, please.
Let him land. But I want him to be objective.
Yes,
please. And when you say Prince Johnson saw an opportunity and took it, what do you mean? You mean to be part of the war?
As a politician, he saw, just like politicians saw George Weah as being popular and wanted his votes.
Okay.
People wanted Prince Johnson's vote because of his popularity in Nimba. And he used it to his advantage. Prince realized he couldn't easily be president because people wouldn't go for him based on his records during the war. And so he basically marketed his popularity to his advantage. That's the mark of a politician. That's what politicians
does that. Can you put that in the face of the pay-to-play scheme that he was accused of?
He sold votes. He sold votes.
He did, like many who bought votes. He sold votes. He sold votes just like many who bought it. What difference does that make? Every one of them bought votes.
Making excuses for crime.
Thank you, William.
That's the starting.
William.
Dennis.
I think you can add to William. When they accused Prince Johnson of selling votes, they didn't tell us who bought the votes.
Exactly.
They penalized him for selling, but they didn't penalize the person who bought the vote.
So therefore,
you can't say people bought the vote because there was no evidence of that. That's what he's trying to say.
Okay. Give her your time. The question is, who Prince Johnson represented, or who was Prince Johnson to you?
Listen, I think he was a mass murderer. He was a criminal who knew too much, and because of what he knew within our country, people kind of cowered to him to allow him to serve in the Senate. He knew too much. This is somebody who got information from the intelligence, the U.S. intelligence in our country, Tango. So they knew that if they were not being careful with him, he was going to deploy those same strategies and bring war in our country. So people kind of cowered to him, and he fear-mongered. And continued to fear-monger. Let me say one thing. I'll be very quick. Let me finish. I'll be very quick. Let me say this. I'll be very quick. The reason why he had dominant over the people of Nimba is simply as this. Simple. It still exists today. Tribalistic. They saw him as a savior who was able to save them from dope coming in and killing the people of Nimba, and they saw him as that. But
and how is that tribalistic?
It is regardless, Dennis. You can't say somebody.
If you are saying somebody is coming to me and you save me, so I'm pledging my loyalty.
It is the tribal divide that is in the country. That's why those people saw him as a savior. But regardless of the fact, those he killed are still Liberian. If it even happened on the crime people side, we will still blame the other people. We still blame those as a criminal as well. Right? So you cannot discount that and say, oh, because of what he was able to do. And that is the influence he had over the people. But everything that he did, we're trying to be civil here because of there's a death in the family, but we got to be objective as to what this guy was able to do in our country. He knew too much and people cowered to him. Every president knew that he knew too much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Gaiman.
Well, if you read The Prince, which I think we all have done, Machiavelli talked about the two styles of leadership. A leader that is feared or one that is loved. He said, but no leader can do both. He said most leaders we lean towards fear because fear compels people into obedience. And when you look at this man by the name of Prince,
Thank you.
okay, there's a coincidence that his name is also Prince. He uses the fear tactic into compliance. And the entire Nimba County, don't leave anybody out, very few people. Okay, at one point, agree that this is their man. It is them against us. And Prince.
I beg to differ, but go ahead.
Well, the only time you will see a division between the minors and the guilds and this and that is when it's election time and their man is going against Prince. But you can talk to anybody from Nimba. When it comes to the word Nimba as a whole, Prince Johnson is that towering figure that put fears in everybody. And I would say this, and I know they are listening, Prince scares even the American embassy. The U.S. government, I think my friend Carter talked about tango. When things were done, when we said tango, who was at the other end? Why did the phone go silent on the other end? Just as Prince Johnson going to his grave saying, I am betrayed by Waikai. Because everything he told me put me under the influence that I was going to be his right-hand man. But after the election, the phone went silent on the other end. There's a similarity here. They can use him to accomplish their aim, and once that aim is accomplished, the phone goes silent. Thank you very much. That's what I think about him.
Thank you. And let me comment on this, that he got Nimba. You know, based on my years doing this, what I've heard and what I've gathered is Prince Johnson was very skillful in reading the tea leaves and going on the side of the people. So if Prince Johnson knew that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, for instance, is going to win Nimba, he goes on that side, and that's why people think that he is influencing the vote. If Prince Johnson knows that Weah has this edge, he goes that way. But it was really not the people following Prince. It was Prince reading the tea leaves, getting on the right side, and being able to win. Like in the case of Buakai, he just felt with Jeremiah, Buakai was going to do it, and that's where he went. That's what I've heard. And I've spoken with a lot of Nimba people, and not all of them supported Prince Johnson and thought that way.
Dennis.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do want to say a few. I mean, one about this notion that people fear Prince Johnson. That's why they voted for him. I remember 2005, Unity Party didn't want Prince Johnson to run on their ticket, so he went independent. Actually, he didn't support Madame Sirleaf that time. It was Joseph Koto from Nimba who supported Madame Sirleaf. And Prince Johnson campaigned with one pickup. He had no T-shirt, nothing. He had one pickup, and what up in the back of the pickup, he went from village to village. That's how he won the election. He didn't have microphone, big gun, and nothing.
Which election?
And people remember, if you also live in Morovia in 1985, in the aftermath of the coup, and the few years that followed to the war, and know what happened between Nimba and Do, and then what Prince Johnson did, you will understand why the Nimba people follow him. They don't have to fear him. And he went in exile for 10 years in Nigeria. How can you have influence on the U.S. embassy, on foreign relations? No, come on, guys, don't make him too big.
The people fought for him. They fought for him.
Yeah, the people fought for him. Well, yeah, they fought for him.
All right. Oh, okay. Wendy and Tom, I see. Before I go to Jimmy.
So I just want to say that we should not be naive to the fact that Liberians were afraid of Prince Johnson. No one should kid themselves about that. Everybody feared him. And I think the fact that people fear him has nothing to do with how educated the Nimba people are, what we think they are. Even the person with the most educational knowledge can have fear. And Prince Johnson was a warlord that people were afraid of. That's a fact. That's not something that we can kid ourselves on and think that it is an impossibility or they were not afraid. People were afraid of Prince Johnson. I was in Liberia for all of the wars. I even lost 2 uncles and an aunt during the war. People were afraid of Prince Johnson. So that's not a joke. I mean, that's something serious. And if people were afraid, and if they want to live, and they're hearing Prince Johnson say, if you do this against me, and the stories that I'll go back into the bush and I'll pick up guns again, and because they wanted peace and they wanted not to be able to be in war anymore, so they were cajoled into following him.
Correct.
And that's a possibility that we cannot ignore, that it doesn't exist. It does.
Thank you,
Who
Gladys.
the Prince Johnson represent?
So I think, like I said initially, there are mixed reactions. I think the warfare, I will situate it more outside Nimba County. And I think the point was made that even though Senator Johnson was in the Senate for almost 20 years, he attempted being president of Liberia, he would never win. I think he was feared outside Nimba, but I think he was loved within Nimba. So I think this is the distinction that we actually need to make. And that comes from the history, going back to the former President Dual regime. I think most people in Nimba see him as a liberator, and most people outside Nimba see him as a warlord. I mean, I don't think it's because of fear, because if you look at how he won election from 2005 or 2006 onto the recent election, you also have to take into consideration that there were generational changes in Nimba County. Not many voters in Nimba today who are voting even saw the war. But for the fact that the stories have been told to them on how they were killed during previous regime, and this person came and fought a war to be able to fight against people who killed them in Nimba County, I think there is an element of love there. So I don't think it was actually the issue of fear that made him to be repeatedly elected in Nimba County. So I think the politics in Nimba is mostly local, and they go back to that historical struggle that they had with previous regime. Outside Nimba County, I think there's an element of fear. People see him differently outside Nimba as compared to what people see him in Nimba County.
And Tom, maybe I can throw this in just so that people have this other picture. Do we say the people of Bassa voted for Bromsky out of fear or love, or is it because our politics have become tribal? Did they vote we are in Grand Cru or River G because of that ethnic link? Did they vote Bwaka in Lofa because of that? So in that case, is the voting of Prince Johnson by the people of Nimba any different from Bassa people voting for Bromsky? And Jimmy, I want you to come in.
Bromsky was not a war leader. What are you talking about then?
No.
What I mean is, war.
No,
so don't compare the two. I mean,
to the point where even Louis Brown is not being associated with Charles Taylor.
Yeah. Louis Brown is not running for any position in Grand Bassa County. Yeah, he's talking Grand Bassa, but
he's going as ambassador.
No, my example
was Charles Bronsky compared to Prince Johnson, and I'm saying you cannot, because Charles Bronsky was not a warrior leader.
No, my point is, are we voting on tribal lines, or is it because of fear? Because
it can be both.
There's an outlier in Nimba. Nimba case is an outlier.
Yeah, just people who fought for Prince Johnson. People who fought for Prince Johnson, who he get food to, people who were living with him in all his base.
So Jimmy, let me bring you in here.
It's different things.
Mr. Ismail, are you there?
I'm here. I thought you were going to ask
I want to hear your thoughts. I know you miss a lot.
Okay.
So you have a minute.
First of all, I apologize for the late entry.
Leave that one there. Just go ahead.
I want to tell you guys something. I've had close and personal encounters with Prince Johnson. I was captured at LEC, and one of his chief attackers was Bubble. He attacked us, and from then we were lodged in with them. I was introduced by Prince Johnson to Quinu when he got there, and they wanted the light on. So I worked with Chief Logistics to put a light on. I've had several encounters and a lot of in-depth knowledge of some of the functions of what they were doing at the time.
Were you kidnapped?
Excuse me?
Were you kidnapped?
We were captured.
At LEC.
They attacked the place and they took it over.
What is
Next, they went to the port.
Could you have left on your own?
Excuse me?
Hold on, Father Washington.
No, I just want to understand what captured.
He couldn't have left on his own if he was captured.
No. I mean, okay, let me admit, let me know. Okay, let me.
But Father Washington, you are in Liberia. You don't know what capture is?
Say that again.
Let me clarify. No, you're making a good point, Washington. Washington, you're making a good point.
Yeah.
After we went through the rigors of lying down on the ground and whatnot. They gave us a choice. They say you could go with the truck to the base, or you could go anywhere you want in Nukutown area there. And I didn't know where to go in Nukutown. I didn't know anyone. So I stayed with the LEC truck and we went to the Cassell in Louisiana to Cassell House. That's where the base was at that time. So I was lodged in with them.
When you say base, Prince Johnson base.
That was that was his base at the time before he moved to Caldwell. Mm-hmm. The first was in Louisiana to Cassell House. Then that next day we marched to Caldwell, Tiller Major Compound, and we were there until Ecomog got there. The Nimba people were terrorized by the Dole regime. He in fact ordered that everyone even should leave. Some commander, everyone should leave the county. The Nimba people were beheaded. We used to see Mono people beheaded every other morning. They were terrorized by the Dole regime. And Prince Johnson is seen as their savior, the one who redeemed them. On the day he captured Dole, I can still remember that day. He came in the yard and said he wanted his armed men to go to the port. About an hour or two later, they brought Dole outside and sat him butt naked down in front of the cotton tree, right to Point 4. And there was jubilation. So for people to say it was out of fear, no, he actually was a hero to many, especially for people from Nimba. And that's why they revered him. And a lot of things he done during that course, we could talk about it. Jungle Justice.
Yeah, you can discount everything. You talk about everything else and then discount after the fact. You have to elaborate since you want to.
Okay. There were many executions, summary executions that was carried out. And, being that I was working with Ecomog, lodged among the colonels, majors, I talked to them and they told me for what he was leading, he had to act in the way he did or he would not have control of his people. So when
Lord Jesus.
I'm just telling you. This is what
just stay here.
Trained military colonels and majors are educating me about.
Are you guys tolerant to understanding and appreciating?
Hold on, guys. Let him go ahead, Jimmy.
These are trained colonels and majors telling me that he has to behave the way he did to control his people.
When you say behave the way he did, specifically,
his erratic behavior.
No, he would summarily execute you if you did something wrong.
So he only executed people that did wrong. That's what you mean?
Yes.
Including
if you did something wrong, he would summarily execute you.
Larry
no,
Burton.
Let me tell you about Tecumseh.
Walter Allison, don't forget.
You can't discount everything.
One at a time.
You cannot discount everything else that happened. That's
one
what I
at
want
a
you
time.
to do.
Tecumseh robbers.
I don't want you to go to detail. I'm saying he only killed people that did wrong. Yes or no? That's all.
Yes.
All right.
So if you want to know what happened with Tecumseh,
you don't have to go into details. That's all I need.
These are my distant relatives, by the way. I saw Tecumseh when he was walking to Caldwell Base. he would go. Everybody was looking for food. They used to go look for food there. And the next couple of days, I saw him singing. You know, Prince Johnson used to love to play the guitar and sing. I saw him singing and whatnot with Tecumseh in the crowd. One day when Prince Johnson was away, it was Vani. It was Vani that executed Tecumseh. It was not Prince Johnson.
Were you working for Prince Johnson?
Hold on, please.
I just told you that they captured us. Do you understand? I'm not a war. I don't fight war. I was working with LEC as a skeletal essential staff.
So, Jimmy, let's conclude. Who is Prince Johnson to you, and what does his who's Prince Johnson to you?
Prince Johnson is a warlord. He's a warlord. And he did not kill us. We could have been executed because they captured us work. They could have said we're working for the government. They did not kill us.
Thank you.
Okay? He was a warlord, and that's how I know him as.
So Prince Johnson is a warlord that captured you but did not kill you.
He did not kill us. No, he did not.
Okay.
Because it was essential to the man's needs.
It's very clear. He said Prince Johnson is a warlord who captured me and didn't kill me, and who only killed people who did wrong.
How does he determine it wrong? You
don't have to. But let's go to the next.
I can tell you about some killings that were not correct.
There were plenty.
There were some killings that could not be justified. I know I can give you one instance. There was one
killing that is justifiable.
I'm just confused tonight because it's like when you're saying, Jimmy, you're saying that Prince Johnson killed people who did wrong. Who's qualifying that wrong? Who's defining it?
Yeah.
Who's saying that is wrong? Unless you're in the mindset of Prince Johnson to know what's wrong.
That was summarily.
But then you're also saying, even under that, after that, you're also saying Prince Johnson, I know he did some killings too that was not justified.
That
so
I was not justified.
But which of those killings was justified?
Which killing was justified?
Okay, which one? Name one person, and I can tell you about the case.
The few that were justified that he
Name one person I can. You remember Larry Butte? Do you remember Larry Butte?
Yeah, I remember the journalist.
Larry Butte is from Sino. I know.
He was with the PRC, right?
Yeah.
Larry Butte came.
Oh yeah, the first PRC guy.
He surrendered. He surrendered to Prince Johnson, and decided he was going to work with Prince Johnson, and he started distributing rice to people across the bridge there. The story was Larry Butte stole or took money for some of that rice, and he was summarily executed.
And that's justified.
No, I didn't tell you justified. I told you there was some unjustified in my heart.
No, I want you to name me the ones that were justified, Jimmy.
I'm trying to give you facts and not opinion.
I think this is like when I use the word best, and he's in the same position. I think he's saying, according to Prince Johnson, some of them were justified.
But even the one that he's saying was not justified.
No, that Prince Johnson. No, according to Prince Johnson,
he heard.
Yes, according to Prince Johnson, they were justified, but not
because he said
Jimmy
some
can
of
answer
the
that question.
Were justified.
I don't think Jimmy can tell you why he killed somebody, why he didn't kill nobody, why he killed them, he didn't kill somebody.
Let me give you one more story before I take my seat. There was a guy who worked with us. He was the deputy managing director.
Was that a justifiable killing? I just want to know which of the killings were justified.
Jimmy don't.
I told you, according to the military wisdom that I was taught.
In military as well, that we can say there's no casualty in war. There's no casualty. So you can literally say everybody that was killed was justified, because in war there's no casualty, right? But this is you cannot come out here and play both hands. You either go on the other side or you stay with.
I'm only going to give you facts.
There's no casualty in war. We can say that.
You can make your own conclusion.
But these are lives.
Let me just tell you how I began to be afraid. There was one guy who worked with us called.
I want us to move on.
Yeah, that move up, place.
Yeah, let's move on to, now Prince Johnson is no more. We want to look at the impact and what this means. Starting with and I wanted to combine his church and his university. I've not really watched Prince Johnson lately preaching. I don't know whether the cameras are not there now because it's not the Prince Johnson church versus the We Are church. Maybe that's what people were interested in. But his university is church. Let's start with that. Gabriel, what do you think happened next?
Listen, I am very clear in terms of how I feel about him. And I'm not going to mince word. I understand this was somebody people revere in Nimba or whatever. I've spoken to a lot of people in Nimba too. They feel the same way, even though I don't agree with them. In terms of what happened next, I think all of those things that he was doing, whether the church, the school, and everything else that he was trying to, quote unquote, leverage, which I think he was playing people, it was basically somebody trying to atone for their sin to the public. You know what you've done, so you feel that you have to do more to appeal to everybody. I will say this quickly, and I know there's a lot of people when you talk to them, anybody like to give you this whole narrative. Oh, he did what he did, and he repent. I'm not a preacher, neither do I claim to one, but I can tell you, if you go through the Bible, you read it from cover to cover, there is not a sinner in the Bible who offended God, who repented, God forgave them, who still didn't pay for their sin. So he will forgive you, but you will still pay for your sin. So regardless of what he did, and people thought he was building church and schools, and people, he still needed to be held accountable for it, right? So that's why I don't agree with this whole narrative that, he's building church, he built church here, he built school here. That's supposed to be, a repentant individual or a changed individual, so we should forgive him. No, I don't agree with that. In terms of what happened next, as I said earlier, the people of Nimba have the opportunity to change the course of how they want to see Nimba, how they want Nimba, where they want Nimba to go. I think he had a grip on our county that a lot of things couldn't have happened in our county without him. And I don't think any single individual should have that much control over a county or over a country. So I think there's an opportunity here, not just for Nimba, but for the country in its entirety to change course.
Thank you. Let me go to Victor. Let's look at the impact on the UP-MDR alliance.
I don't know if there is any more impact, to be honest. The senator has been vocal on what he perceived as his exclusion in active participation in this government. He has made known on several occasions that the president is not taking his calls anymore. We know that there are instances of a public falling out between he and the vice president, whom I believe he regarded as his son and his protege. The vice president, coincidentally, a couple of days ago, made known publicly that he is not in the MDR anymore. He joined the UP, I think, as a requirement for him being drafted on the ticket of the president. So as to where that leaves the MDR and the UP collaboration, I guess we'll find that out as we go towards 2029. But I wanted to say quickly, the senator, he has been very, very tactical during his reign as the de facto leader of Nimba County. He was a Gill man. As we all know, there are two predominant tribes in Nimba, the Gill and the Manos. So he knew, because he was a Gill man and a senator, he always wanted the other senatorial post to go to a Mano person. As we all recall, the recent battle to replace the vice president, he made very certain that
do you know why he didn't want that to go to the Crown or the Bui or the Mandingo or Mano?
Well, I think it's more because of the population. Yeah, the Bui, the Mano, the Bui Basa people are there, but I think that population, in terms of how it affects the political.
And Victor, this is how we have come to normalize this kind of thing where minorities don't even count. But go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying this. I believe this was calculation that the other tribes, as you mentioned, did not really have any impact as to tilt the balance compared to the what the Monopoly could do. And so he was always trying to make sure that the Monopoly were accommodated sufficiently in government. And so we know Koga really wanted to take the vice presidency, but I think he very very strongly supported the gentleman who finally won, and so he had always tried to maintain that balance in Nimba. And I don't know if I would agree that the Nimba both feared him, but I would agree with those who said most of them actually held him in reverence. I think it was more out of respect and reverence to what he did to actually protect them against the onslaught from the Do regime that we all know.
And there's a reference or this love, does it also, because we said Nimba, we have Mandingos, we have Crown.
Right.
Does that love and reverence include those people as well?
I don't know if it spreads across all of the other tribes in Nimba.
Because every time we talk, we are like excluding a lot of other people.
Yes, I agree with you, and we shouldn't. But the calculus suggests this is what the reality. I'm telling you. We know the senator.
So the Prince Johnson represent that polarizing figure in Nimba, or did he bring every Nimbayan together?
Absolutely. I don't know to what extent he tried, but I know Ability. I spoke with Ability on a number of occasions. He has, he told me there are instances when he could oppose the senator publicly, but he wouldn't do that out of reverence and respect to, So I don't know whether he represented the sentiment of the Mandingo people, even though his mother is a Mano woman as well, And so that calculus, I think the senator understood it very well. I agree with you. The Crown, even the Bella people in there, they should matter. But I think in terms of how they impact the scale politically, in terms of the vote, I think he made that calculation that you would rather, satisfy the larger tribe in Nimba, which is the Mano next to the Gyo people. And if you did that, you will always be returned as the senator representing that county.
But Victor, he ran what's the name? Gongoli's sister.
He did well.
He ran somebody against her.
Oh, you mean Edith?
Yeah, Edith. Yeah, she was twice. Yeah, so he was not really supporting the Mano people because he beat them twice.
But I'm not sure if this person he supported against Edith was a Gyo person. What I'm saying is he always made sure to push a Mano person because he himself being a Gyo, he wanted the other senator to always be a Mano person.
And you are saying it as if that is right.
No, I don't think it is right, but I'm saying what the reality is. I don't think
that's the reality. You can't run away from it.
Absolutely.
Why can't we run away? Why can't we support people based on qualification that we include? Because I'm a minority in Sino County, so it means I'm never going to be anything.
No, but that's the assumption. We're talking about Liberia.
That's the tribalistic thing I was talking about earlier.
We're here making an assumption without taking into account the reality.
I'm hearing plenty of people.
Yeah, Mr. John, I want to say something
real quick. Hold on. Let Dr. William go ahead first, since he was already on the floor.
No, I'm saying we're making assumptions that we have no answers for right now. That he didn't consult the Mandingo people or the Gwi people. There is no telling. Prince Johnson spoke serious crime. So it's highly unlikely that Prince Johnson would have ran 3 times in Nimba County without the Crown support or the Mandingo support.
Isn't that the same assumption you're making as well? Aren't you making the assumption as well?
Again, I can make those assumptions, rightly so, because this.
So why can't other people make the same assumption?
Dr. Williams, I will push back on that.
Let's look at
the recommendation that he made in government. I can't count any Gwi Basso or any Crown president that the senator recommended in government. Let's look at that, and then it will tell you who he was catering to.
I don't have a record of his
I mean, we can go back and look at it, but I can almost tell you almost all of his recommendations were either Gyo or Mano people
from the two tribes.
So why are we pretending that we don't think along tribal lines?
No,
why are we pretending?
Okay,
let
me come to you.
From tribal lines. Why are we pretending it's not true?
No, Jimmy. That's
what
not
we're
issue,
trying
right?
to get it from, Jimmy. We have to change.
That's not an issue. But let me go to you, Tom. I want to hear the impact on the Senate. There's going to be a vacant Senate seat, and
are we when we start on one topic, we don't go around and then we jump to the next one.
so when it comes your turn, you can go to that. We have one more. We are less than an hour, right? So we're talking about since he left now, his impact on the church, his university, the Senate seat, who takes over as the next kingmaker if there will be one. So let me hear from Tom. We talk about the UP alliance because Prince Johnson recommended people in government based on that. I remember when these people were appointed, they had a celebration in his church, and everybody paid homage to him. So going forward, how these things going to play out, Tom?
So the church, I don't think the church was a denominational church. So it was mostly centered around Prince Johnson. His preachings were mostly the top political issues of the week. He would try to tie them to the Bible and preach, and people will clap for him. So I don't see the church moving much more forward in his absence. I will forecast that the membership of the church will continue to reduce until the church fades away, just like it's happening to the former president's church right now. Yes, Dr. Kron. On the university, except if there is a very strong management team, and that since it was open, it was able to accumulate a lot of resources that will allow it to go forward. I will also expect that university will diminish. I think it was placed in the budget. If the resources continue to flow through the national budget, maybe it will remain afloat. If not, we will also retrogress. That's my forecast. On 2020, on the MDR, I think the impact on the MDR, we have to look at what happens in terms of replacing him. If he's replaced by someone from the MDR, then I think the MDR will continue to remain relevant moving into 2029. But if the upcoming replacement for him, because the vacancy will be announced, and then in 90 days, the election commission will have to conduct the election. If the MDR does not reclaim that seat, I think it becomes difficult for the MDR to continue to move forward, considering the fact that, as one of the panelists said, that the current vice president had made it clear that he's now a member of the Unity Party and not the MDR. So there are a lot of calculations that could take place between now and 2029. Let's also see the impact on what happens even with the current impasse in the House of Legislature, because if Representative Koga, who's the head of the majority bloc, takes interest in this election and does not pay much attention to what is happening in the House because he wants to be a senator, what is going to be the impact on the lower house as he tries to transition to the upper house? So there's a lot of implication on both the Nimba politics as well as the national politics. But I think the next few weeks and the next few months, based on the alignment and realignments that will take place, will continue to really foretell what is going to happen. But like previously, some of our speakers said, he has supported 3 presidents that have won. He has left. Much of the conversation we are hearing now is that Nimba County is no longer a unipolar decision-making process. It has become maybe multipolar. There has to be a lot of consensus now about how decisions are made.
But it has never been like that, right? Has it?
No, I mean,
historically, you can say
it has been Nimba. Prince Johnson makes the decision. Look at the county settings. When they go to county setting, everyone, Senator Johnson supports. We get the PMC, we get every other thing. The other people will go to court and all of that. So I think even though people have been challenging him, but he has been the towering figure to decide how Nimba moves. So that is now off the cards, and there has to be other people to come and fill in that slot. But who is going to fill it in? We have to watch over the next couple of years to see who's really going to step in that shoe. Whether that shoe can really fit anyone right now, we have to wait and see what happens.
Glendy, who's going to fill in that shoe?
So I like a part of what Tom said, but I also, whatever he said, I want to also say why can it not also be equated to what happens to MDR? If you're saying the church is going to go down because it's non-denominational, doesn't have a denomination, they were just preaching from the Bible, Equally, so the MDR was led wholly by Prince Johnson. So if he's there no more, then your proposition could mean too that the MDR is going to phase out soon. So in a few days, I've said that the leadership of who the people of Nimba will look towards right now, for me, in my opinion, is Jeremiah Kun.
You don't think it will be Tiawon Gonglo?
I don't think so, because I don't know if Tiawon Gonglo is really fascinated with all of that stuff. Like he when you look at Tiawon Gonglo, he's a lawyer. And I think his thing is more based on the law issues and things that he have to do with cases, and more of political side, like whose side he for. He's straightforward, so he's going to say who he supports, who he doesn't. That political genre and dynamics and all those things that you have to play, I don't see Tiawon Gonglo being that one to lead the people of Nimba. I want to say Kung because Nimba now holds the second seat in our country. In Liberia, they have the vice presidential seat, and that's not a seat that they want to overlook. So I'm hoping that Jeremiah Kun will be able to rally the Nimbayans so that they'll be able to support him, for him to be able to be the one, the face that people will see when they talk about Nimba County. So I don't see anybody else. I think it's going to be Kun, because, for example, yesterday, when they took the body to the funeral home, Kun spoke for the family, he spoke for the wife, he spoke at the funeral home. So he's the one that's emerging now as the leader for the people of Nimba County, in my opinion. I've seen nobody else. The fact that he's the vice president.
Dr. Dukley, how does it impact 2029? And you feel free to go any other direction, just like the previous speakers.
Well, if I want to go in any direction, it would just be to say that, as somebody who kind of, work with Prince Johnson indirectly, as in the interim government, we're looking at him closely. We tend to look at people differently, at people who participate in the war. Sometimes it shock people. I know people he killed. We know people he killed. But we will say, hey, Prince Johnson left. We were at Yamoussoukro 3, and we were talking about 32,000 people dead in the war. Now we're talking about 250,000. Prince Johnson ran away when we were talking about 32,000. I think he committed the most gruesome crimes against people we knew, exactly, and including the president, and that made his crime bigger. But 200,000 people died after he ran away. That's the direction I want to go to. So nobody is saying, hey, he will justify killing anyone. There's no human being disposable for any reason. But you have to look at his place in history, in our politics. Nobody can write the history of Liberia after the war. I mean, from the war to the end, actually starting from 1985, without Prince Johnson. So the other factors,
Prince Johnson was in 85.
And half criminals and half bandits and half what you want. So what will happen to the institutions that he created? I hope somebody will emerge. Leaders come out of crisis. If there's a big crisis, maybe a new leader will emerge. Leaders come out of crisis. They don't just pop up. You don't just write letters to become a leader. And I think Kun is still seen as Prince Johnson's son. So would that carry him, or would people say, hey, we are free now to look where we want. We want to look at everybody in the county, not just Prince Johnson's descendants. But I'll say, let's wait and see. A new crisis will come, and somebody will solve that crisis, and then that person will be the new hero.
In 2029, Dr. Dukley, I want to hear your thoughts.
2029?
Yeah.
None of the above.
Jimmy, does this open the way for your man, Councillor Gonglo? And do you think he should run for the Senate seat vacated by the following of Senator Johnson?
That's a good twist.
I would like to see him run. I have a high regard for Councillor Gonglo, and I think he will be a great choice for the people. But when it comes to the swaying of the Nimba vote and the people, I think we haven't seen who will emerge yet. I think the person that will emerge will be a former INPFL fighter that is now.
All the Vanny's gone though.
No, there are some left. I'm not going to call name yet, but there are some more left.
All their names.
No, it's not my place. But I believe you will find you will
He's
see.
just behind the fighter business.
But you told me, Glennie, I like the laughing. It's as if you were not in the war. You say you were. And you
I
don't know
was
how
for
fighters-
every single one of the war. Even my father was jailed. Yes, I was.
So,
I
But
was
then
there.
why would you not think fighters
So
were
Dennis,
important to this?
let me come in there.
No, I want Dr. Williams to come in because we talk about his
I
church.
think I can show you because I've never spoken to you. I've gone over everybody.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now you're making Father Washington vex.
Okay, Father Washington, after George, I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
George, start with the school. You know,
listen. Again, Prince Johnson for me was a soldier and a politician. As far as running schools and churches, that was a travesty. I don't think they're going to go anywhere. And I say that because I have not heard any impact those two institutions have made nationally or even locally where they're established. I've heard no, I haven't followed, I haven't gotten any news about their contributions to society. And so I can safely say they're gone along with their founder. But here's the point I wanted to reemphasize that Prince Johnson's absence from Nimba has left an open field in Nimba County. Now, do I want to see someone like a Gonglo show up? I would love to see Councillor Gonglo. I had hope.
The sister Edith.
Well, here's my point. My point is I had hope that Councillor Gonglo would have gone to the Supreme Court, having come from, Labor and Minister of Justice, and having contested, he would have gone there. But here's a perfect opportunity for someone like him. But Glenda made the point, several others, Councillor Gonglo, I know personally. I know the quality of politics that goes on in Nimba. He's not well suited for it. He may not make it. You saw that in the last elections while he was running for president, his sister was with the opposition. And that, our people say, if you can't even hold your house together, they're not going to support you. And that could have contributed to why he even performed in Nimba the way he did. His sister was with CDC, he was with LPP. And so
CDC was the second round. That was the second round.
Yeah, second or first, don't matter. The fact that his sister would sway over to CDC openly like she did, that didn't look well. Aesthetically, it wasn't good for the family. But I would love to see someone like Councillor Gonglo. He was the first name, frankly. He was the first name that showed up, pop in my mind when it came to a replacement for him. But is he positioned to want to fill that seat? I'm not sure. But he would do a good job because I think we need people like those in the Senate and the House to help us move forward. As far as 2029 is concerned, I can say this much, that Nimba County has become an open field for everybody. Jeremiah Keong rode the wave, Prince Johnson's wave, to the Senate, now to the vice presidency.
You think so?
I am not so sure. And I pray he can and that he will.
No,
but I'm not so sure that he can wield the level of influence with the electorates.
Prince Johnson did not say it. He supported someone else. Prince Johnson did not support Jeremiah Coon for Senate. He supported someone else.
Well,
Jeremiah Coon for Senate.
He has admitted. Jeremiah Coon came from his party. Didn't he come from his party, MDR, to the Senate?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point I'm
for president, vice president, yes. But before he got to the Senate, Prince Johnson supported someone else. He did not support Jeremiah Coon. This is what I'm trying to say.
No, Prince Johnson supported Jeremiah Coon.
What party did Coon went on to become senator?
Yeah, he beat Eddie Gonglo on MDR.
Yep.
Yeah, so what I'm saying in essence is, can he maintain the wave and the influence that Prince Johnson had with the people of Nimba, so much so as to drive him, hopefully, to the presidency? I am not sure that's going to be possible.
Right.
It will
There
take a
can
lot
only be
of.
one Prince Johnson.
There can only be one. Yeah.
Father Washington, I'll rank you, so you can take it from anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Jar. You forgive me. But yeah,
Amen.
you know, we are Moravians and we live by the.
My sins away. He took my sins away.
Well, we are Moravians and we are Moravians and we live by the moral principles. And if there's any principle that's going to go against the moral principle, would never be accepted. And the reason why I'm drawing this analogy is that Prince Johnson just projected he projected a morality sword to be able to get public support. But the end would never justify the means. Go and kill people, steal their money, rape them, take their money, take their property, and tomorrow go and build a university, build a church. That still does not justify you doing anything good, because the act itself that brought you to where you are is evil. So it makes that act itself evil. So that whole thing about university, he built a university, had a church. I mean, now religion has become the vehicle for the devil. So people can use religion to be able to have popularity. So for me, church and all this kind of stuff, it does not even move me. Because if you perpetrate an evil act, even if a good comes out of that evil act, that act is that good, that what you call good is evil in itself. So because you rob people. Prince Johnson, one of the things he was doing that made him to get some of these people kind of coming to him and getting his support. When he sells the vote, he goes to this person and say, hey, I have my people support me. My people are behind me. And if I support you, you're going to win. But before I support you, this is what I want from you. There's a kick that I have to have. So people will go to Prince Johnson and say, hey, we know you, when you support this person, when the person wins, we might get ministerial position, we might get this position. So therefore, we're going to come to you because you're our godfather. So that's something he was holding. Does anybody in Nimba can do that? I'm not sure anybody else can do that in Nimba. So like that. So as what his name, Dr. William said, I think it's someone else said it's open. I think it's open. I know Gonglo. You know, Gonglo used to be my parishioner when I was in Christ the King. And I don't think he's one person who want to go into the Senate. I'm not sure he's going to go into the Senate, because Gonglo is one person who doesn't like to go to a place that he thinks there's a lot of corruption, there's a lot of money changing hands. So I'm afraid that place will not be somewhere that Gonglo wants to go. Somewhere that he cannot make the decision on his own, but he needs other people to join to make that decision. I'm afraid he might not be able to go into the Senate.
Touch on the war crime code before I go to Victor. You know, every time, you saw Prince Johnson when he mentioned war crime code. So now that he's dead, what is the future of the war crime code? You think people not, because there were some people who, when they say war crime code, the first person is Prince Johnson. You think people are going to have the appetite for war crime code now that he's no more?
People should have the appetite. I think we should always want a war crime code, because we want justice for our country. You know what has happened to our people? You know what our people went through? Some of us, what we went through during the war in Liberia, we need a war crime code. No matter what it is, even somebody who just slapped somebody, our person needs justice. So for me, it doesn't matter whether it's Prince Johnson or whoever it is. We should have it. We should have a day where people can exonerate themselves, that people can find justice. So I think the war crime code is still needed. Without Prince Johnson, all these people are gone. We still need a war crime code so that people can have justice in our country.
And we talk about atrocity. One thing we have not mentioned is the rape, the women.
Oh yes,
right?
Yeah. And rape and kidnap.
That is open secret. Let me go to Victor. Victor, we put a lot on the table. Post Prince Johnson, what's going to happen? The Senate seat, the NDR, the university, war crime court, 2029, and so on.
Yeah. So someone wrote in, I think Christopher Tobasi. I agree with him. I think Councillor Gonglo may not be the ideal candidate for that seat right now, only because there's already a Nimba person occupying that seat. A model person occupying that seat. So it will be difficult. But I agree with I think it was Glendy also. I think Gonglo sees himself more as a national political leader and not necessarily as a Nimba political leader. Although he will want Nimba in his corner, I don't see him clamoring to be I think he sees himself more as a national leader. But I think leaders will always rise, when the occasion, demands. There are lots of people, with the likes of Tai Wongwe is still lurking in the wings. Musa
Right.
ability is there, even though he has Mandingo background, but his mother is Mano. And Musa is very tactical and he's wealthy. I don't think we should write him off. So Musa is there. Adolphus Dolo is still there. I think they were all deferring to Prince Johnson now that he has exited the stage. Fiado, the name recognition. Fiado Jackson Fiado Jr. is there. He was at LPLC for a while. I believe he has the means to run. Seb Walaze is there. He's my brother-in-law. I get it. But hey, he just started a new law school. And so that has catapulted him to the national stage. So I think a lot of people who could come up on the scene to lead Nimba. It will be difficult. I don't believe Vice President Kung has the capacity to lead that county. One, he has already, I believe, in my opinion, he has made the first of leaving the DR.
You think Kung Ken and Tai Wongwe could?
Well, it's because of what I'm about to tell you. One is this lingering question about Kung being a real Nebayan. We all know there are reports that his parents actually came from the southeast and settled.
No, his father come from a town from Dodokan.
Right. So that is there. That kind of impacts his Nimba pedigree to some extent. And now, look, let's be honest.
But Kung has never gone out of Nimba. It's always been Nimba.
He has not. But the fact that can even come up, it means it is significant. So that is that. And quite frankly, the vice president has been the embodiment of Prince Johnson. I'm not sure with Prince Johnson's absence, how much he is able to corral the rest of Nimba County and put it back.
So if he's the embodiment of Prince Johnson, so don't you think they would look at him as the next Prince Johnson?
Even when Prince Johnson is pressing behind him.
Oh, then he's not an embodiment now.
No, when Prince Johnson is absent, then he has left his scope. So then he left the MDR, which just like people think the Liberty Party was a Bassa party, which I believe it is not. But many people believe the MDR is in Nimba County, in Nimba Party. And so he has left the MDR and gone to UP. So to the extent that he's able to command Nimba County again, to me, is very, very questionable.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Glendy?
I think.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I think Tai Wongbe is a good figure to take the place of Persuasion right now from Nimba.
Prince Johnson?
I think he stands a very, very strong chance.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, this is Friday Night Debate, and we are discussing the passing of Prince Y. Johnson, the former warlord, the former senator, pastor, kingmaker, university proprietor, and the proverbial godfather of Nimba County. Glennie, let me hear your thoughts, and we can welcome also callers 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Glennie and then Jerome.
I think I like the tier 1 stuff for senator, but like I said, I don't think that's where he will fit. I don't think he will be at his best potential there because it's going to limit him. I also like the sound of Tai Wongwe. It's possible, and I also I was expressing the idea of Miepe Gono. She's been doing very well.
I agree with you there. I just forgot and I left her out.
Yeah, as superintendent for Nimba County in less than a year.
Yep.
She's made some significant developments, renovations. She's now standing like a force to reckon with. So I think there are a lot of people there that should put their head in the race. If she does, I'm going to campaign for her because I think she's already proven that she can do something. So I will look at her. I will look at Tai, but equally so, don't forget there are other politicians there. You got Kroger there who may want to try also, and you have Musa Ability who is there. So there's so many other people. Edith Gongo could also want to try to be.
How about Adolphus Dolo?
Who said that again?
Adolphus Dolo.
Yeah, Adolphus Dolo would, but I'm really rooting, and it's not because Miepe is a woman. I think because this is her first position, and she's proven to do well in such a short time.
Let's look at the future of the world.
She's on a rescue tree. Is that part of the?
Not necessarily. I'm not a rescue person, though. You know that.
So
Glenn,
But I
beside
look
just
at
the
think there are a lot of
the
people
war
out
crime
there.
code.
Say
beside
that
the
again.
painting, besides the painting of the administrative building, what else can you attribute to success?
There are many other things that she has done. She's
Like,
right now, even when you talk about the school, that school that was online where they had that debate, she's engaged those students. There's a tutorial program that's going on. When you may look at the building as being insignificant, but that building has been there for years and no one was innovative enough to go and do renovations, not with the government's money to start it,
Glenn,
to get donations for it. For me, that's innovative. So may
Glenn, you
that mean
talk about
nothing
war
for you,
crime code.
for me,
Let
it's
let
significant.
let lead the Gono campaign. Talk about war crime code.
So this is the thing I said, Dennis. I said if the war crimes code, if the noise about war crime code should subside, then it would be a disservice to Liberians, because then it would mean that one of the things that the boycott government talked about prior to the elections was that they would be behind the war crimes code. If they don't continue the fight for it, it meant that they were only talking about it because of Prince Johnson, which would mean a disservice to Liberia. So I would hope that it continues. Why I want to believe that it might not, I will hope that it does continue, because Prince Johnson was not the only war leader that needed to be able to go through war crimes code. So I hope that it does continue and not stop.
Mr. Gilman, you be the last, and then we bring in our colors.
I want to go back real quick to the fear factor, and I'm going to quote Prince Johnson himself, and some of the stuff that happened. If you during the campaign, if you saw the proprietor fight between Prince Johnson and Kwiwonkpa, he made it clear. Now, while I'm in Nimba with a Kwiwonkpa aroused as a significant figure in Nimba County. And I think Mr. Kwiwonkpa himself was on this show where he said, they came purposely to kill me. He made it clear he did not want anybody. He should be the only person. And in one of the interview in Ganta, he told the folks, I am telling you, I picked Kong because this old man is old. Kong is going to be running the show. If Kong runs the show, Nimba is running the show. All of these things are all factual evidence that this man wants to be the only chicken in town that crows, and anybody else who attempts. This is what's going to happen to them. But let's go to the leadership of Nimba County. Let's look at the elections between Kong and Edith Gongro. They were separated by 2 percentage points. 2 percentage points with the backing of Prince Johnson. So I think Edith Gonglo has a very, very strong point and groundwork, I think, to actually become a leader. She's articulate. She's very brilliant. She went to war with the most powerful man in the county and came in close second. So I think she is very, very powerful. When it comes to the NDP, the party NDR was built around personality, just as the church. As the personality goes, so does goes the church. And I'm going to say this on my own Bassa brother, Bronsky in Bassa. Bronsky managed to have built that party around his personality. When he left the scene, you know what happened. It was all chaos and still chaotic. And basically it's non-existent. Same thing is going to happen to the church, it's going to happen to the party. So I'm saying this to say, the war crime court, let nobody fool you. The war crime court was brought, everybody talked about the war crime court because of Prince Johnson. If you took the face of Prince Johnson of the war crime court and you put Yeke Koluba or you put Bud Naked, ain't nobody going to spend $160 million to persecute Yeke Koluba. Ain't nobody, the European Union, the American, nobody's going to spend that kind of money to persecute Bud Naked. So I think it's only a political theater. It's not a war crime code that you and I have desired.
Thank you. Let's bring in our
Dennis,
callers
can
now.
I take 30 seconds?
I'll give you 1 minute, Tom. You're in Morovia.
So, yes, I think when we discuss the War Crimes Code, we're just looking at one piece of it because the composition of it is actually the War and Economic Crimes Code. So I think there is still a value, even if some of the war laws have died, on the economic side, because we continue to have the economic crimes as major issues that are holding back Liberia's development. So I think as we discuss it, we need to have that consideration. Also, I think on the greater impact of the passing of Senator Johnson, I do think that beyond everything that we've discussed, it will have macro effects because we're actually looking at 2025 to be a big push for this administration because this year was mostly a transitional year. For the fact that he has passed and Nimba is a very big county, I think that election on his replacement is going to take some attention away on the broader development interventions that the government is going to have next year. So I think beyond who will replace him and all of that, I think it will have some impact on the speed with which the government is going to move with development. The first thing is that some of the resources in the national budget. Yeah, I do think some of the resources. One second. Some of the resources that were committed in the national budget, now for the conduct of the election, we have to be moved over for the election. And if the election is happening, the ruling party has a candidate, they want to make sure they win, is going to sway attention away. And some of the focus now we are having on maybe corruption, asset declaration, and all of that, it might take attention away. So I think beyond just replacing him, it will have some impact on the speed with which we move ahead with development.
Maybe they will take that budget line from the one to the university and put it somewhere else because of him is doing there.
That's why he's saying they will take money that was allocated for something else to put it all in winning the seat. And that was
what I said.
But that's what you just said.
He implied it.
All right. Let me bring on Mr. Elvis Morris. Elvis, you have less than a minute to make your point. Go ahead, Elvis.
Less than a minute for Elvis.
Thank you, Mr. John, and hello to the panelists. Look, I would send my condolences to the people of Nimba. I think Prince Johnson passing is a sad day, but there's a silver lining there, you know. Look, they rewarded him until his death, so they played their part. They gave him all the honor, and they gave him all the privileges of a war hero, and they've played their part. Now, they're free of the shackles of Prince Johnson, controlling their political lives. And I think names like Jan Twine, who has a very good grassroots base and a lot of young people were yearning for him. The last two election cycle, the by-election and, not the by-election, but the seat that Jeremiah Cohn had. And then even before then when he was competing against, Senator Johnson. So I think he has a good name, recognition in the county. And also, Musa Ability, now that he has the grassroots that Jan Twine has, but he has a lot of money. And I think if you do a lot of, good for people and spend a lot of cash, you can gain a lot of political goodwill, and he could become a factor. But I think this is open season for the political party in Nimba County, and I think CDC need to revamp the efforts in Nimba. If they're playing already, compete in 2029, the field is open. I hate to say it, but they can attach themselves to a ruling duo who has some cachet, not the same level as Prince Johnson, but have some political cachet in the county. Even when it comes to, quote unquote, military hero there for the people too. So it's open season.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that the people are free of a Prince Johnson. So, hopefully the people in Nimba can turn a new leaf and vote their conscience rather than trying to reward somebody who they felt they owe the debt to. That debt has been paid, in my view. Now they can be free to really exercise the political, freedom. Thank you for having me. I want to make those points.
Thank you. Freeman, you're next.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jai. I just want to take this time to extend my condolences to Liberia and then the Nimba County people, especially. I thought that Prince Johnson, he was a controversial figure in the politics of Liberia, beginning with his career as a military man, ended up being a warlord, participated in the war, did a lot of things, and became a senator. The Nimba people actually did award him. They appreciated what he did for them. But Prince Johnson, over the years, in my opinion, he intimidated those people as well. Every election cycle, he told those people, if you didn't vote for me, for example, George Weah, they're going to come for you, and I will not be there to defend you anymore. Do you remember what I did for you? He reminded those people every period that he had to campaign. And it's on those reminder that he continuously told those people that they elected him over and over, and even his practice, his recommendations were being adhered to. So I think there has been a lifted cloud over the country, the people of Nimba, that opened the doors to the political landscape, but I don't think it's fully open because Prince Johnson started something that I think may continue with guys, his followers like Koga and other guys who have been supporting him. They may have learned from him. They will continue to use the MDR as Prince Johnson party and intimidate those people so they can vote for them. I don't know how long that's going to live, but those tactics are not going away very shortly. It may take a little while before it go away.
Thank you.
In my opinion, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let me bring on Vincent Kia. Vincent, you're live.
Yeah, thank you for the show. You know, sometimes when I listen to people, I find it difficult to really accept it. When you see reality and want to make out of feelings. Look, no matter you like Prince Johnson or Prince Johnson, even the child your point just today, no the thing from the window. No secret. Even he starts left, the life he's living now, if he tell what he starts left. This man called Prince Johnson was as man of imitate people to the extent that many people in the country of the affair. Listen. Not only many people afraid, President will tell people about election, or not only election, even in the country, or permanent chief or town chief. The President is not approve of you to be town chief in an era, you're not the big town chief. Could you imagine? It's not because of people say, oh, the defending people, even the water you're talking about. You make a lot of money. It's just because they fear. The boy is following there. And listen, Mr. Judge say, oh, Johnson or we are no, it's different. Prince Johnson is different, totally different. Prince Johnson gets all the people with the 30 walls I use on it, and the people buy into that. So in a matter of fact, for me, I can't say because of Prince Johnson was good. At the way other guys say, Prince Johnson used the Bible to cover all his things. Prince Johnson never apologized to all his things. No day Prince Johnson apologized. So as people say, oh, they may be all of that. If they apologize for the deep down to your heart and some justified by your killing or somebody, I think it'll be better. But they may all allegedly, you know, sorry for what you did.
Thank you.
For me, I see it as a warlord and a rebel. Thank you for the show.
Thank you. The story is told of one man who they say after the election he came and he said he didn't vote for Prince Johnson. They tie him. Let's go to Emmanuel Collet. Emmanuel, you're live.
Yeah, are you there?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You have a minute.
Yeah, so I first of all want to say I'm so sorry to the people of Nimba, Liberia, alas, because the late senator served the county and he served the country for 18 years or more. Mm-hmm. But here is what I want to say, because everything we're talking is bothering around the political game. The political game that two ways can play in Liberia from my understanding from the time of following politics. You have to get money, a real heap cash, and you have to have a culture and a tradition with the people. So the late senator, I think he win the people's mind because if you look at Nimba today, beside the young people, I remember in one of his speech, he said when he was running for president, that when he was running against Madam Sede for the very first time in 2005, he said, I was running to be president, your children were on Facebook telling the world and the country that Nimba not ready to produce president. He was talking about a young age group that were born in the 90s, 94, 95, all the way to the 1000s. But the people that were born in the 50, 60, 70 to 80, those people were in the 1000 in Nimba. They strongly believe, either way you put it, that Yoruba was their gods, and they were paying price to him, and they had to pay that price until that kingdom come. However, you couldn't take that from Prince Johnson. You couldn't convince those people because they were traditional and native people. Their mind was made up. Now in Nimba County, I can see what we used to see in 1985, 86. I made traditional farming. What our parents were doing. Like in Nimba County, sometimes when I follow the social media, I see the people still performing their culture. Nimba and Lofa. So the people did believe that Prince Johnson was their gods for what he did, and then made his way to political power. They didn't trust anybody else until his death today. So after his death, I'm hearing people saying, yeah, Kum and this and that. All the people that are reporting the Kum, the Mwambe, the Musa Bedete. Let me just make some correction here. In my mind, the development Musa Bedete carried on Nimba. Even Prince Johnson, who served for 18 years, he didn't carry that. Prince Johnson was senator. I got a video that I put on my Facebook page before I make a whole video of him when the election was coming on. Nimba Community College was destroyed while Prince Johnson was building a private college. But the development Musa Bedete from his pocket carried on. It takes a government to build that bridge. All of you here on the network, you know what it takes to build that iron bridge for your pocket.
Thank you.
So, but Musa going to be George on Madibo background. And all the other guys going to be George, some kind of way small. So in my mind, from a political analysis, Nimba will be divided now. There will be no one man that will speak and turn the narrative as powerful as Prince Johnson was. Because Prince Johnson was senator, Prince Johnson was a powerful man from the Q tribe, Prince Johnson saved their life, Prince Johnson bring them back in Nimba and say, you can sit down here, you can be part of their country, nobody can drive you, and there is no man to drive you. So there were so many things that were attached to Prince Johnson that Nimba was paying that price. That no man had done that, no matter how many cash you spend. That's my analysis on the topic. Thank you.
Thank you. And actual fact said, did Nimba do more for PYJ than he did for Nimba? You can answer me later. Can anybody tell me what Prince Johnson did from killing Nimba, or is it the killing of Samuel Doe? But keep that answer. No, just
you asked me that question.
No, not you. Let me bring another person here, and that will be James Nalasa. I want my panelists. I want people who are calling in also to mention that. What did Prince Johnson do for Nimba? Is it the killing of Doe, or he actually, because from following the war, he did not really fight in Nimba. He was in Kawe. Mr. Lassa, you're live.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Let me say good evening to all, and particularly to my long-time friend, Dr. Joshua Williams. We're live on campus in the 90s, and since I have not seen him.
You're old, Jimmy. You're old.
You're right. So, various issues here. Look, regarding Prince Johnson's passing, so I want to say this. No, Prince Johnson didn't do anything much good for Nimba, except that if anything he did actually bring focus to the fact that Nimba is the political nerve center of the country. They have they have the maximum political consciousness in the country as a county. As a matter of fact, beside them having the biggest land size and the biggest population size other than Maserati, Nimba has over the years been a political nerve center. That is why Ellen and Dr. Baranta departed from each other, because Baranta knew the strength of Nimba and he thought that Nimba should be there. And Ellen, after bringing war to the country, she won the senatorial seat. refused it, went to America, got money to come revenge for April 12th. And Barronta didn't see it that way. And when he saw that Ellen was the only way political...
Jimmy, you're going different direction now.
Say that again?
Let's talk about Prince Johnson. Why are you going to Ellen and all that? Barronta, come home.
No, well, I'm talking about you're talking about Johnson. I'm talking about how, because of the strength of Nimba, Barronta and Ellen separated because Barronta recognized Nimba as a political nerve center. That's the point I was trying to make. But look, Prince Johnson did some good and some bad. For example, I saw him on a video slapping the wife of Grady Allison. I'll never forget that. And I used to somehow know her son. And when I was passing by around Benson Street, I would hear sometimes that he will fight to make sure that Johnson will face justice, and in the process, Dennis passed away. So that didn't happen, and I felt hurt that during the 2017 election, Samuel Doe Jr. went to Nimba to campaign for Boakai, and Prince Johnson went there in order to reverse the progress made. He started lying on the young boy and calling him a general. He had arms there to kill people. That was just so bad. And Prince Johnson would come to Morovia and accuse all kinds of people having arms in houses around. He was polarized and he undermined the peace process, really. And then on the positive side, I did really feel bad when I went to Liberia a couple of years ago. And when the Prince Johnson, where I was born and I grew up, couldn't recognize my own yard, my neighborhood. Everything burned down, turned to zinc shacks. And I went to Nikutan. That should be the case because Nikutan, Douala, mostly zinc shacks and things, but because of Prince Johnson, that whole place is intact, emitting law and order there. And he didn't know how to project and articulate a message for him to have greater appeal among the Liberian people. That was sad on his part. Now, with regard to the War Crimes Court, here is what I want
20
to say.
seconds.
So the War Crimes Court, Dennis, is very, very important. We have to pursue that because, for example, the Nuremberg trials after Hitler Nazi war, they did the conclusion of that trial just within 1 year, 1945, 46. It was finished, concluded. But they continued it and established what they call the subsequent Nuremberg that went after war criminals from that time to this day. So even though Johnson is dead, we have second-tier corporates that we need to bring forth to account for their acts. For example, my own maternal grandfather was viewed as a Madingo man and was beheaded in Banjis Loma. I would like for the War Crimes Court to come so that Gil man who left Nimba and went to that Bon country, completed Peloton and went on killing, beheading people there. We need justice. We need people to account. So it will have to go on.
Thank you. And the economic piece, right? Because these people that kill people, they amass so much wealth. At least take some of the money and give it to us, the victim. But anyway, Flomo. Let me go to Flomo. Hold on.
Yeah. No, for me, it's like I think the War Crimes Court will stay calm. So it will stay calm. I mean, it was against time because of Prince Johnson. It was not only Prince Johnson that fought war. They also fought war directly or indirectly through the farmers. We know a group of ULAG people in America who sponsor war, who put their money together, and they still living in America. They are now exactly they are part of the war. They fought the war too. Although they didn't go bomb, but because their money they collected in America, they support warlords, like child killers and other people to go kill, so like blunt people, they should be held accountable too. No, when it comes to Nimba, I think Jeremiah State got a power over there. People talking about Musa Brady. That's why I don't like politicians who when they want to join the politics, they start doing development. I don't really call that sincere because one of the reasons that Musa Brady did a breach because he wanted to be elected. But he's been in government for a long time. Why is he being a breach there? Because he wanted to run for position, he started building that breach. That's what most of the politicians do. Now what they do, when they're in position, they start doing development. When you let them, the development starts. So I don't call that a real development because you just wanted something in return. That's why they continue doing that. No, the people, when it comes to Prince Johnson, I know people, for me, I was not in like when the war started and I was small. When I left, I was in the refugee camp. So I don't really know how it happened. But my problem I'm trying to say is Prince Johnson saved other people's life and he murdered other people. So people will be drugged and people will be sad. So it's both ways. All depends. You can't People will always murder people. The last thing, Mr. Jai, when it comes to election, people will always have that tribalism. It will always happen. It cannot stop, Mr. Jai, no matter what. Even in the great United States, that's why you get a red state always voting for Republicans. The blue state always voting for Democrats. Why they always do that? The white males always vote for more white men than other different races. They always happy and love for it. So that is part of human nature. You can't stop that.
Thank you.
You can't say because the person is this kind of guy. You can't stop it. Thank you.
Thank you. When you said you were smart during the war, somebody said you lied, but I said no, the man was smart for truth.
That's why maybe they are my father.
Leave your own with God. Emmanuel, sorry. Emmanuel, Mr. Correct. Go ahead, you're alive.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So, my analysis of saying Prince Johnson didn't do well for Nimba, I will say this for the record. Prince Johnson standing or knocking his chest to fight for the people of Nimba when the head of state had made a pronouncement that innocent Nimbaland should go in exile or they will never be seen again. Let me be clear for the record. I'm a petty man from Bon County, but guess what? I could do the same thing Prince Johnson did for the people of Nimba. I'm not saying that Prince Johnson shouldn't have facing tribunal.
What did he do? What did he do for the people of Nimba?
Fighting against Samekedo till he made sure he overcome Samekedo. And I can clearly say this for the record. And I take responsibility for what I say. If Prince Johnson and the lives of other people had not launched war on Samekedo, which we're all regretting today, it means the people of Nimba could have been seen today for what the head of state said. And by that time, who could come out and say you can't do it? He could do anything he wants, and he started doing it. We got a record. We got a history of 300 Liberian children were dumped in a well.
Where?
Video today, as people posting
Please share that video with us of the 300 children.
No. The 300 children, I don't have video, but I have video where.
No, do you have the place where the grave site of the 300 children? A picture?
No,
anything?
I don't have that. But okay, listen, I had a video where the head of state said the people of Nimba consider innocent will never be seen again. Have you seen that one too?
Yeah, he said. I listened to it. I was a freshman in college that time, so I followed every broadcast in Liberia. He said it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that is where I'm coming from. So if my people were threatening that they will never be seen again, if they don't leave their home and go in exile, I will personally do anything that I can to get rid of that particular man.
Okay.
Let me stay here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I will do that.
Thank you.
I'm not saying. Let me give me just a second to lay. I'm not saying wherever happened that Prince Johnson and he was living, he shouldn't face tribunal. Yes, he must face tribunal. If I do that, I should face tribunal. Like Bondage can say, he said he waited to go to court and go to jail for the rest of his life because what he did, and he don't pay the price, he believed that people will hold it against his children and his generation for life. Am I on the radio?
Yeah, you're alive.
Right. So if I had done that, I would submit to whatever punishment. But you know what I would be proud of? I make a history. I drove a man who threatened to get rid of my entire generation. That is where my pride will be coming from. I would not be arrogant to say, oh, no war crime or no this, no that like he was doing. But I take no regret of Prince Johnson did what he did because the head of state had not done what he did. We will not be in this situation. Just like the former leader that just left, we have all that be murdered. If I were to audit the family, I would not be happy with the government. And anything anybody would tell me that we would do to get rid of the government, I could support it.
Thank you.
So, young man, so if Ellen said level the Morovia and we rebuild it, will you support anybody just going? Come on.
All right, I just want to kind of chime in because I've been following the show and how to come in. Hi to your panel. Let me say this for me, for every death in a family, I grieve. So we know the story of Prince Johnson. I just want to make one or 2 points. And simple analogy. Like when it comes to soccer, no one will ever replace Joria because what Joria made himself. So on the line of Prince Johnson, he made himself for his people. He stood for his people. You see, every story that two sides, don't just say one side of the story. Okay, Prince Johnson killed, yeah, he killed support that we all don't agree to, but then why make it a kill? I can tell you I was living in La Paz every Matare. We saw what happened there. We saw the story that told the late Archie Green, so our friends, right on the airfield runway. Every 10 minute car flying with the airfield so they can't put the runway to execute them. We saw that. We saw a family being wrapped off. All right? So Prince Johnson, let me tell you, before prior to the war, one of your partners said it, they were head. Him on hair would be lying all in Morovia, beheading people prior to the war. So if Prince Johnson can fight for his people, I would do that to fight for his super people. They're the first power. Prince Johnson broke away from Mr. Taylor. Guess what? Prince Johnson not broke away from Mr. Taylor. Taylor could not listen to anybody. But yet instead we run his wife with vice president job. He stopped Mr. Taylor from taking over. The Economic letter today was to Prince Johnson. Take it or leave it. Taylor the dead Economic not going to land it. 4 July 26th, that week prior to the landing, we were heavy shelling. Prince Johnson was fighting at 2 fronts from AFL. I'm not a blue man, I'm not a minor man. But that place where I belong. He did a part. Yes, he did some killing that was made for me. I don't agree to kill a sitting president. It was wrong. But he could have told most of some of the kids that went on some body is deputy. Right? Across the beach, we for LU. Prince Johnson, he covered some LU students. The Noah bought the chief of staff. They let boys swim. I saw them. We used to go carrying tree to go look for food. But like the door got them like hunting LU students to kill. I go and arrest them just for him to go to be killed. So again, guys, people replacing Prince Joseph gotta be careful. The matter go to the tag one way. Prince Joseph make himself fall for his people. Prior to Prince Joseph coming, you have David Dwan, you have Jackson Abdo. They were not powerful. Prince Joseph became powerful because he lived a life for his people. So that's what we should take care. You compare Obama with Martin Luther King. Who will play Martin Luther King? The thing that Martin Luther King did for Barack, they won't tell it. In soccer, Liberia, the team George had in soccer. You can't take that one for him. Nobody will play George. So again, we've got to work out. I will say this. We will talk all want to talk. This country we live in America, they know if they want to bring Johnson, else they go arrest and kill a war crime. They know what it did. But our faithful settlement now, I will right at the pool and do enter the pool. Everyone stood bar. When Prince Johnson keep on Carwell base, enter the pool, we haven't sharing that went on there. They never do anything. You didn't know? Not my enemy, our president. You think they don't know? So guys, let's just pray. I want Prince Johnson to walk my court because I personally believe they supported him. Those are on Carwell base, they will see those light in the night to play Prince Johnson see and attack our child forces that Red Young and the Louisiana era. And Bowen and other side fighting to the other side. So guys, let us just as Liberians, let's just Prince Johnson did some killing. Yes, that was not necessary. Like the Fair Blade, the Larry Botti, the Council, yes, it was not necessary. But if the other side of the story, what did the AFL say?
You didn't kill Fair Blade.
I tell you, Lucian Church. Just for I want to Lucian level Lapasi, but so they say, maybe not sleep here at night. Can't even point out Lucian Church today. But now all time will buy is Prince Johnson. I rest my case and you have a good show. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy, you say who killed Larry? Who killed?
He didn't kill Fred Blade. That's not true.
Okay, what's the truth?
Fred Blade left the country, but Larry Butler, yes.
No.
And I wanted to ask that man because he was narrating stuff. He was narrating stuff.
Yeah, tell me about Fred Blade because I'm family. The daughter is my very close friend.
Yeah, Prince Johnson didn't kill Fred Blade. That's not true.
Who killed Fred Blade?
Fred Blade left the country.
And go where? Where did he go?
Where did he go? I believe he went to Ghana.
Jimmy?
Jimmy, you gotta be careful. You're on national.
No, I know what I'm saying. No, I'm not. He did not kill. It's untrue. Whoever said that is not true. It's not true.
D. Allison, but not Fred Blade.
Not Fred Blade. It's not true. And you know, the people spread a lot of rumors. That's one thing.
Well, at least the family blame him for that. But if anyway, that's besides the point. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you. I know you hear the caller. There's so much to say. So let's go around the room for your reaction and then closing. Tom is in Morovia, so I always like to hear from him first. Yeah, because of his data. The data no longer harmonized, Tom?
Not because of not much because
Tom get 3,000 citizens for the generator alone.
No, I don't work at FTA. Now the data boys is going to 3.
Go ahead, Tom. No
matter. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Just go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, it's going to 3 o'clock in the morning. But like I said, I mean, in my opening, I mean, the reaction on the ground has been mixed in terms of how you describe the former senator. I think all of the names that Dennis posted, um, each person can decide how they want to label him. Like I said, from his passing, it has implication on the local politics in Nimba. It will have implication nationally. It will have implication on development. Hopefully, not much of it, but I think in 2025 is going to take some attention away. How the war and economic crimes go moves forward. I think my opinion on this is that people think that the court was targeting him. I think himself saw the court as targeting him more like people thought it was targeting him. Because every time you spoke about that court, he felt offended. I mean, we all remember when he said he was going to turn Dillon's table around because Dillon was talking about the court so often. So I don't think he was the only person that committed crime. Like Dr. Duke said, he left very early and the war continued. I think we should still have the court, especially the focus on the economic side, to be able to reduce the kind of looting that takes place in the country so that we can commit resources towards development. Our sympathy again to Nimba, to the Senate. We'll see how his void will be filled. I don't think anyone can command that kind of authority in Nimba like he commanded. So I think Nimba is now going to be, like someone said, open. And any decision in Nimba will have to be through a consensus. There will be a lot of stakeholders that will come out. When I made reference to his party, I think one of the things I mentioned was that in this race to replace him, if the MDR claims that position, and I think that person who will claim the position will become a political leader of the party who can continue to hold them together as they move forward. But if they lose the upcoming election in terms of replacing Senator Johnson, I think they start to then retrogress. Then moving forward, it might be difficult for them to continue to surface because they don't have the kind of person like he is. It was a good show. We look forward to next week, maybe not on Friday night debate, but the other sections that we participate in. So thank you all.
Thank you, Tom. If it's too late, you're free to go. Glendy.
So I think it was a good show. I've been away for a while, so it's good to come tonight. I also want to say that when we say mixed feelings, it means that we have to be able to allow people to vent as they decide. No one person can determine how people should feel in this era of Prince Johnson's passing. Everyone, I thought about something today and I wrote it on my page that people should be allowed to express their emotions however they feel. So when I'm hearing callers coming and talking and trying to defend Prince Johnson in a little way, that's their side. To the people who were affected, gravely affected by Prince Johnson and all of the other warring faction leaders, including Samuel Kayando, we can express ourselves the way we see fit. And we have to be able to allow people to say their emotions or to feel the way they want. Prince Johnson may be a hero to many. He's not a hero to me. He'll never be a hero to me. Was not one, will never be. And I think I should be allowed to do that. And no one should try to coerce me into following their narrative because I have mine. And I think this era we're in is significant for Liberians to be tolerant of people expressing their hurts. A lot of people are still hurting. So when we come here and we talk about killing, like one person killing this other person is better than the other person killing, they all kill people. And it's still wrong. There's no justification for someone killing people. There's no better, there's no, like Mr. Douglas started, Dr. Douglas started earlier with best warlord. There's no best in warlord. A warlord is a warlord. They kill people. So the justification that we're doing and we're trying to equate one side as being a better killer than another killer, I think that's wrong for Liberians if we're heading towards reconciliation. And I think everybody should just allow people to express themselves. There will be people who loved Prince Johnson and he was their hero. Let them be the one to express that. And if we're on the side, if I'm on the side of those who didn't love him and don't think he was a hero, allow me to also express that. Don't use this opportunity to find a narrative to fit it, because you want us to think that Prince Johnson was a hero, even though we felt that he was wicked. But I think it's a great show. I think this conversation is going to continue. To the people of Nimba County who held him as a hero, my sympathy goes out to them. But there are so many more Liberians who are hurting from what transpired in Liberia, not just from Prince Johnson. And I think what has happened in the past 2 days is because some people really wanted to see him face the law. Charles Taylor is facing his crimes, but Prince Johnson did not get the opportunity. Liberians did not get the opportunity to see that. And so when they're expressing anger, I think we should be able to allow them to do that and not drive a narrative to make their opinion seem like it doesn't matter. But it was good being back here, Dennis. Hopefully, I think I'm a strong woman being here with all these men, and I always stand out. But it was good being back here tonight. Thank you.
Love to see you, Glennie. I would glad to bring you back here.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. And I would like to thank everyone. And Glendy, hanging on to my word of best, I didn't mean that he was the best killer. I just said, I was able to justify that to say he was productive in a political sense. And I don't have any sentiment about Prince Johnson. I said at the beginning, either plus or negative, no, I don't care about him, but I look at him as a political person from Nimba and the work he did with interim government before the war, after the war, and what he did. So I don't, he's there. The War Crime Tribunal will continue, I hope. But then again, when we talk about war crimes, sometimes people forget how time is passing fast. Because the generation that is going to prosecute the war may not have taken part of the war, may just remember it from what people say. People who die. We have socialized with warlords. People who we accuse of economic crimes are our best friends. So, people steal money, they get sanctioned by international community, and then we elect them to the highest office, and we dance with them, and then when they die, we say, I think we need to be more serious about certain things. When we say war crime, we really mean it, not just talking and not expecting the US or some European Union to come up with $150 million to fund it, but to say Liberia has the means to run a justice system, to run the justice to the victims of the war. And to the victim of the war today, the economic crimes are being committed today. Do we stand to talk about them? No. I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in our society. And that's probably because we have warlords and everybody has their own warlord. And that's been the story of Liberia. Everybody has their own warlord. We talk about ethnic politics. The ethnic politics is part of the history. Up to the coup, there was one ethnic group that dominated politics. And when they took over, he put the same thing in place. And the war was fought on ethnic basis. So somebody's villain is somebody's hero. It's going to be that way. I don't care how we look at it.
And Dr. Douglas, that's the cycle of revenge. And that's why the passing of Prince Johnson, that's what really broke me, as I speak to people. And you heard that, right? People justify, say, well, Samuel Doe did it. That's what Prince Johnson got to do. And then we go back to top up and on and on. It's sickening.
Yeah, it is sickening, but we had, I think Gonglo said it best. He said the nation was built on shaky foundations. And just when that foundation was getting solidified, diversified, and opened up to multitude of people, it broke down. And the trajectory, as my friend would say, the trajectory of the country has changed completely. And that chaos has gone on for long. It's going on. So we went through ethnic politics, and today we are in the middle of it. Southeast yesterday. Today we're talking about Lofa and Nimba. If you remove all Lofa and Nimba from the government, what do you have left?
Thank you. Father Washington.
There is sometimes I just question the sanity of our people when you can call people like Prince Johnson hero, call people Taylor hero, call Yaya Nimba a hero, people who just massacre out people, just destroy people's lives. You call these kind of people hero. I just wonder where we get this kind of this kind of.
But remember, after 1980, the songs "Our Eyes Are Open," "No More Corruption," "Power to." So this revenge, when is it going to stop?
Well, I mean, when you start calling people heroes, that's why it's not going to stop because somebody does it to another person and you call him a hero. Somebody who is a criminal, a war criminal, you call him a hero because probably you join him or because you are behind him or behind his line. He provided food for you and your people, so he killed other people, but for you, he's a hero. So for me, that's the sad thing about our country. So people like Prince Johnson, that's why I feel so disappointed that he didn't have time to be taken to trial and if he was convicted, put in prison for his life and everything that he has looted from the people, killed people. I just wish that he has suffered the same thing because that's how this is gonna start. And, I don't know. When I look at what is the Prince Johnson and Charles Taylor, I don't really know. They sent Charles Taylor behind the Nibadians behind him, and it was after Prince Johnson. So I don't really know whether he was also hero to the Nibadians. So these are criminals, and I think criminals should be locked up and tried and locked up. And there's nothing heroic about them. And that's why our young people after the 90s, all they aspire to is to become these kind of leaders because they're the only people that saw all their lives, which is a sad thing. Because that's the mentality of a leadership. Mm-hmm. And you have to go into the bushes and shoot people and come into town, and then you can become a leader. And then they call you war hero. Which is a sad. I just hope that the war crime will come, and these people who have committed atrocity against our people will be locked up. They will be tried and locked up.
Thank you. That's why I look around the internet. Only the bad people can get somebody. I never heard Dennis Jah picking, but the other people, if you try to do good, nobody wants to follow you. It's a given.
When you become superintendent, you see.
I know, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll say everything you don't. Yeah.
He would never be superintendent, so he would get OPK.
No, he'll be superintendent, man. 2005, 2025.
Oh, 2025. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, Mr. Jah. Thank you for the show. Great show. The reason I'm laughing is every time I go to Liberia, I'm housed at the U.S. Embassy, and I'm glad and I appreciate them for helping me out. And sometimes I listen to some of the informal chit chat. But one of the things that caught my attention is there were two international headlines on Liberia lately. One says from the MCC Compact, it says Liberia failed the rule of law, and that was huge. The rule of law doesn't exist in Liberia as far as they are concerned. The Liberians scored 47% on the rule of law. Then Gallup poll came up with a new poll worldwide that Liberia is one of the unsafest place to reside in Africa, in the whole of Africa. Then a week ago, I saw Arthur Johnson and his client at the Supreme Court. They said they had defeated the Republic of Liberia. They went to court twice. And the government of Liberia, the prosecuting team, didn't show up. Mm. This is you talk about economic crime court. You say this man stole millions and millions of dollars to it, and you took him to court. And the supposed criminal shows up, and you, the prosecuting officer, failed to show up twice. So they are asking the court to drop the case. So you see where we are going here. Those who are saying the War and Economic Crime Court and the Economic Crime Court piece is going to continue where? I was there when the ACDL was formed. Tom Woyu that was there is dead. Sawyer that was there is dead. Harry Greaves that was there is dead. The only person remaining in our group is Ellie. So when you put all this together, gentlemen, don't take this thing lightly. But the war and economic crackle, where? How?
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Williams.
Dennis, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'd like to close by also recognizing, in addition to the conversation we've had, that we've also lost a former vice president, John Gray, a very humble man that I personally got to know and respected. He's passed along, and I think the country has lost a good son out of Cape Mount. And peace be to his soul. Like we hope it will be with Prince Johnson wherever he is, and let God be his judge, whatever he's done.
You said vice president?
Yeah, former vice president, John Gray.
Benny Warner.
Benny Warner, you mean?
Benny Warner.
John Gray.
Who's
Who is
that?
John Gray?
Oh my goodness.
Benny
John
Warner.
Gray became vice president when Charles Taylor was sent to Nigeria.
Oh, with De Gaulle.
To Mose Blanc, yeah, vice president Mose Blanc.
Mose Blanc, okay.
Yes. Duke, you should be one of the people helping us. John Gray just died. Yeah, I know.
And what does that tell you?
You know,
nobody remembers him.
Yeah, but he's part of our history, my people. He's part of our history. We can't make no one group more important than the other. He's a former vice president, and he ought to be recognized and respected for it. But yeah, at the end of the day, Prince Johnson was both a blessing and a curse. In many respects, a blessing to his people, a blessing to the nation for everything he did for the nation.
Like what?
Measurable or not? Well, in many respects. Yeah, we're laughing. Prince Johnson kept a level of political stability in our country. We just talked about Prince Johnson contributing to seating 4 presidents.
And that is debatable, right? So
how is it debatable? Let's start a debate. 4 presidents came into being because of Prince Johnson.
Okay, no, three. Okay, he didn't support Ellen the first time.
Let's start with Bwaka. How did Prince Johnson make Bwaka to win?
Axel.
I mean, how? I mean, you have votes, right? If we are even gotten more people in Grand Gita, we are as president today. Why are we elevating this Nimba politics? It's not true.
Dennis,
you said it's not true?
No, it's not Prince
Johnson. Dennis, I don't think you're paying attention to the analytics. Let me tell you.
Let's go to the analytics.
Let's go there. If you combine the votes from the southeast compared
to don't say any blanket thing. Let's look at the numbers. How many votes did Bwaka win with?
Didn't Bwaka win Nimba? Didn't Bwaka win Nimba?
There's nothing like winning Nimba in Liberia. You don't win any county. It's not electoral college.
Dennis,
you have more votes.
Yeah, okay. He won the
okay, and then the votes he had over Bwaka. How many people?
The entire Southeast. What are you talking about?
No. How many people he had over Bwaka? How many people did Bwaka have over Wia?
22,000.
Okay, it was very
nationwide.
It was 10.
Nationwide.
Let's look at Nimba because
and then it's 22,000. That is, we have swept the entire southeast. You know that.
No, but if you look at the Grand Gita, if you look at the registered vote in Grand Gita, if you put that the registered voters against the population of the county, if we are people are registered more people in Grand Gita, he is president today.
But that's why he didn't.
Prince Johnson made this president to win. Prince Johnson made 3 presidents because Nimba vote. Nimba alone is not the country.
That is a great point. That is a great point he's making.
Was 20,000 really the difference of the votes?
Yes. You can get that from Sino County alone if you register more voters.
So who in Nimba that everybody were quoting?
Nimba is.
I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you from Sano. Who is Sano that everybody quotes every election period?
That's irrelevant. What do you mean?
Oh no, it's not.
It is relevant.
No, it's
It is
not.
relevant.
No, not because you have more people from Nimba. It means Prince Johnson made that person president.
Listen, the man has
Right?
a record to show whoever he supports wins.
What is your point? The man.
Let Dr. William make his landing.
Then when you
Dr.
go
William,
and you
please
look at the
conclude.
numbers, you'll
Let's
find that
have another day to debate the Prince
yeah,
Johnson
we'll have
policy.
another
Go
day.
ahead.
But just do me a favor, go and see how many votes you won by
Johnson
Nimba and how
won the
many votes you
election
won by
eventually.
Lofa. Then you'll
What
see.
are you talking about?
No, but it's not Prince. Why will you say that is because of Prince Johnson? As if Jeremiah Kun is not running. As if Jeremiah Kun is not from Nimba. As if why would we say that? You know, it's just Prince Johnson.
So the juggernaut that is Prince that was Prince Johnson was the MDR. The MDR made Jeremiah Kun. Jeremiah Kun and
No,
MDR.
Jeremiah Kun won election anyway. And your thoughts?
True, and Jeremiah Kun was senator too, so he had people behind him.
Jeremiah Kun was going against Prince Johnson. Jeremiah Kun was being
but he won every election he ran. He won in every election. He won every election he ran.
Yeah.
Every
Because
election
he had money too. He had money.
To really limit or kind of trivialize that.
No, Dennis, you can't.
I think you are trivializing.
I'm trivializing the power, this perceived power of Prince
the influence. The influence.
Yeah, the influence. Yeah, it is not as we are taking it to be. But go ahead. Even if you win Nimba, it doesn't mean you are winning the country. You still need other votes.
Which is true, and you're accurate with that. You're right about that.
But it's a major county, and if by getting more votes in that county, you may win the overall
This is not
election.
electoral college. You need every vote in the country to win.
Yeah, but if you gather a lot of votes
Nimba
alone, you could.
What he's trying to say Nimba is not an outlier state. County. If you win it, to say that decisive is a decisive.
We have to close. So let me let George go ahead. Prince Johnson made his
I'm not going to live. It's late already, but listen, let's not minimize or undermine the influence of Prince Johnson on our national
influence in Nimba. That's true.
Enormous, immeasurable influence. So much so that he's contributed to 3 successive elections in our country. That isn't a record most politicians in our country can boast of. And so we'll give that to him. Let's not do that. But thanks, guys. It's been a wonderful evening, and I look forward to the next conversation. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Victor.
So anyway, I put a link in the chat room. It's a little bit change of topic. I will urge when you have a chance, everyone, go to the Front Page Africa of November 13th. Philip Claiborne. I put it in there because Dennis, you were asking, April 12th, we came out and we say, eyes are open, no more corruption, all of that.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to host Philip Claiborne this weekend.
Yes, and so you should please read that. I think it's pretty concise but very precise on what ails Liberia. I think you should also read it. Now, Senator Johnson, I opened by saying he was a larger than life size on the political scene, and I maintain that. He was a tactician. He was many things to many people, for the Nimba people. He did a lot to preserve their existence as a county.
Stop that. That is inaccurate.
All right, I will continue when you stop interrupting me.
Yeah,
let him continue.
Let me tell you this. And you know what? I will put some.
Such a and Dennis, not only that he followed, is such a well-learned man like Mr. Nangwe. Without no proof, will come and say that. What did he do for the people in Nimba?
What did he do that prevent Nimba
allow
from
him to land, and then you can poke hole into the opinion. Allow him to
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Gabe. So I will send you some of the clips when Samuel Doe, as the sitting president of the Republic of Liberia, expressly threatened the existence.
I watched it. I was there. I watched it in Liberia.
But not only was he saying it, he was doing it. You heard several people say on this line.
How did Prince Johnson stop it?
Because he came in to stop the onslaught. He halted the advance.
How did he do that?
He drove them from Butu all the way back into Morovia.
That was Charles Taylor war.
Dennis,
that was Charles Taylor.
Are you negating are you minimizing again the effort of the INPFL? Look, I was on Fendel when the INPFL
I was there too. I was on Fendel. I was in Bikana.
I was
in Yokepa.
Okay.
I was in Compound 3.
Okay.
That was Charles Taylor war. Prince Johnson came as a sidekick.
Yeah.
And you are saying is Prince Johnson
that is true.
Nimba from
It's
being
documented.
extinguished? Where are you coming from with that?
Okay. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. I will say it again. Prince Johnson single-handedly, Charles Taylor was in Arkansas, wherever you're having a good time. Prince Johnson was on the battlefront with his soldiers. They prosecuted the war. Charles Taylor was now on the battlefront. He never went to any battlefront. He never went to any battlefront. He may have, along with Ellen Johnson and others, recruited and financed the war. Charles Taylor did not fight the war. Prince Johnson, and I told you, you said you're on Fendel. I was on Fendel when Prince Johnson took Fendel. He was at the front of the soldiers. Did you ever see Charles Taylor at the battlefront? I don't think so. So I repeat, the Nimba people continue to remain grateful to Prince Johnson for saving their lives.
Not all of them.
You can challenge me on that.
Please quantify it.
You can. He protected them from Samuel Doe and also protected them from Charles Taylor.
How did he protect them when he was in Cowell?
He did.
Throughout the war, he was in Cowell. He was not in Nimba.
I
was in Nimba.
He ended up in Caldwell. He didn't just appear in Caldwell. Where did he come from?
He spent majority of the
by
time
July, the war started December. By July, he was already in Caldwell.
He came straight to Caldwell.
Okay.
No, he went to Bong Mines first.
But he passed. Where you coming from, Boma? Where do you go? When you come from Nimba, you go to Boma.
But didn't they just say he made it on Fendel? Isn't Fendel part of the route? But anyway, but look, that's for another debate. My point is, I believe his exit from the scene, I think, will leave a lot for political pundits to consider for 2029. And especially so when the current president may not be running for re-election. So I think the field is really going to be wide open.
Sure. Yeah, same way Dima kept running. Paul Biya.
Yeah. Well, I does that have any significance on 2029?
No, I mean, don't be sure that President Bwaga will not run.
Oh, I got your point. Yeah. Yeah, well, he's turning 80 years old tomorrow. I mean, we already seen our own 80-year-old on this side, how, he fumbled against Donald Trump. Aging is a real thing. I mean, all of us here are advancing in our age, but, there comes a time when certain things become unreachable, unattainable. And I think his second term is out of reach for this current president. I think those who are advising him would not be doing him any favor to allow him to go for a second term.
I don't think President Bwaga is going to listen to you.
Thank you. That's my question.
I'll be very quick here, and I think I want to, forget this whole, what Prince Johnson was and who he wasn't, and maybe answer a question that you kept asking over and over, which is, when is this revenge going to end? And for me, I think the tragedy that is the war that happened is people not understanding the bigger force behind these individuals we're talking about. Prince, we can go to Doe, we can talk about who were behind Doe, funding him to carry out some of those atrocities to the Nimba people. We can go behind the Prince Johnson himself and talk about who was behind him, right? So in the essence, what I'm trying to say here is that there were two people with grievances, with bigger forces behind them, funding them, pitting them against each other. And we saw it play out when he captured Doe himself, right? So the tragedy that is the war and our politics that has been taking place is that we don't understand that if I have disagreement with someone, I can go to that individual instead of looking for forces outside. Like we said, we talk about Ellen funding the war and all these people. Behind those people, behind Doe, all those killing that he was doing, it was forces behind him, giving him money because he was supporting their interests. And the same forces that were behind Doe was the same forces that were behind Taylor and the same people that were behind Prince Johnson himself. So the tragedy here is us as a people not being able to understand who influence our politics at large. That if they see a little crack in the wall, it will come to exploit it. So I think from a takeaway from us here is to be able to make sure that these things do not happen anymore, right? There might be the Nimba tribal disagreement, or another tribe may, come up to say they don't agree with this other tribe. People can exploit that. We should be able to solve our discourse peacefully, So that's what I want to take away from this whole debate here. There's the revenge part. Until we understand that, there will always be revenge.
That saddens me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. You're closing.
Yeah. The passing of PYJ is a close of an era, and we don't admit it, but we think a lot along tribal lines, and so we don't get at the root cause of what our problems are. A lot of it is economic inequality, political marginalization, social injustice. Those is what promote these things. But we look at it as this tribe doing this tribe. People take advantage of other people. It's not because of their tribe. It's because of their nature, their behavior. And that is the root cause of our problem. So until we identify the actual motive behind what we do it and leave alone tribalism, we will see more of these things reoccurring. Our quest is to come to a point devoid of ethnic sentiment, but rather in principle and belief in an ideology that will benefit all of us. So what we saw, Prince Johnson was a hero because he avenged the people from Nimba. But what did he really do? It was the disadvantage that somebody was taking of another person. That is the actual cause. It's not Crown and Gil. It's somebody was taking advantage of the other. And until we identify these things properly and not attribute it to tribe, then we will see more of this. But let's not take advantage of other people. Let's advocate for economic equality and social justice. That is how we will resolve our problems. I'm glad to see this episode is over. I thank you for the show. It was a wonderful experience, but I hope we learned from these things we've passed through. And that's why I leave it.
And Jimmy, since this thing happened, I've spoken with a lot of people. The issue of tribalism, this thing of looking at other people as the other. Mm-hmm. In our process to support our ethnic groups, to support our friends, we have inadvertently backed crimes, murder, rape, incest, stealing, all the 9 yards. It is very sad that we look at criminals, we look at murderers, we look at just bad people and support them because they are speaking our language. I mean, just from our recent past, 1980, I mean, what business did we have to overthrow a government and shoot people, put them on pole and all that? And the issue was, it was Congo versus country.
Yep.
With now 5 million Liberians, how different are we? Don't we eat the same cassava leaf, tobogi, and all these different things? We are just one people. And we are dividing ourselves just because of tribe. When the war happened, especially in the southeast where I come from, the people that went in my hometown, burned the town, killed my father, killed my aunt, and almost everybody, they were mainly Crown and Sapo people. But because you are Crown or Sapo, George Bolo is never wrong. Because you are Mano or Guy or Prince Johnson is never wrong. Because you are Crew, Weah is never wrong. Because you are Kisi, Bwaka is never. When is this going to stop?
Thank
and
you.
if we don't divorce ourselves from all this, we may have no country. Because this needs to start for our country to move forward. I was speaking to a very good friend, and I said, well, Prince Johnson election or his death has brought about, mixed feelings. There are people rejoicing and there are people who are sad. And she said, yes. And she's from Nimba. She was back in Prince Johnson. She said, yes. In fact, if Crown person died, I would be sad. I would rejoice too. And that just broke me down. Why are we doing this as Liberians? And we don't even talk about the differences when we come together. Why are we allowing politicians and politics? Because I've not seen any group where somebody say, oh no, I can't come with you because you vie. We all together in our schools, in our churches, in our playground, in our different organizations. But when it comes to politics, I don't know what brings out the worst in us. But it's really my frustration. Thank you for coming to the show. God bless you and good night. We are still Liberians, though. We are all Liberians. That's why we like to end. Good night.
We are Liberians.